And we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lorelines. Fowlin Hawk speaking. I am absolutely honored and pleased to have 6 guests with us today, along with Ayumi and Neela. Today we've got Niniri of the Eorzean Archives, Croatoan from the Essalim Collate, the Synodic Scribe, Stout Helm, Pyromancer, and AnonyMoose. It's a very big gathering today, so we'll try to keep chat moving, but thank you all for being here and thanking our viewers as well. This is a really great opportunity. Rarely do people in the lore community get together in such a large grouping, so I'm just really, really thankful for all of you to be here. And with that said, I wanted to let everyone know Pyromancer's wife has recently gone through a very serious medical hardship, and we will be doing a giveaway later if we can get enough donations on his GoFundMe page. We are trying to give away an ASEAN hoodie that Copron and his wife IsomoArt have designed. So that will be in the chat at some point, and I just want to give everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves, and not that any of them need an introduction, but just part of the video content. We'll go through that. And with that, the chat is open. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Hey.
Well, I guess I will go first.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead.
I'm Pyromancer. I stream Final Fantasy XIV. I like lore. It's kind of speculating, sometimes really within the lines, sometimes not so much on the lore of the game and what could be happening. So I'm super excited to be here with some people I've hung out with before, like Moose, and to get to meet some new people. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I guess I'll go next.
Go ahead.
Hello, I'm the Synodic Scribe, and I'm one of Final Fantasy XIV's storytellers and lore enthusiasts. I usually upload 2-3 lore videos a week alongside some nice little art by my channel artist. I'm really happy to be here.
Heck yeah, welcome.
Niniri, you want to go ahead next?
Yeah, I'm Niniri. I'm one of the writers with the Eorzean Archives. I'm a big nerd for 5th Astelara stuff, and I like to contrast 14 lore with real life history and stuff like that.
All right, okay.
All right, Stout Helm.
Hey, first off, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be invited to do this. My name's Stout Helm. I do character deep dives, anything involving lore, unhealthy speculation over on YouTube. I'm just really excited to be here because a lot of these people, first time meeting them. So thanks for having me.
And Croatoan.
So, yep, my name's Croatoan. I run the Essalim Collate. It's a platform where I just lore dump about a bunch of different franchises. I got into, I do 14 and all that stuff like that. We talk about lore there. And I've done writing for lore. I've done, podcasts for lore. I do a lot of lore stuff.
And last but not least, AnonyMoose.
Hello. Yeah, AnonyMoose, and I am old, I guess. I worked on a little bit of everything, usually one weird project at a time, and I think everyone probably knows me from something different. So let's just go with, I'm old man lore.
I love that.
What a description.
Just the OG lore.
Yep.
Lore is what brought us together, and I'm very excited about it.
With all the introductions, you guys know who we are. You guys are here every Sunday, so.
Well, some people know who we are. I'll just give a brief synopsis. I'm Neela. I do the wild, insane speculation theory crafting, and I do a lot of writing.
I'm Ayumi. You can find me on the server Excalibur. I do a lot of G-posing. I just sometimes write terrible fanfics. And yeah, I love lore. I love deep diving into it, and I love talking about it, especially with the fine gentlemen you see here and the fine people that you see every Sunday.
Fallon here.
Thanks, Cap.
I'm just the person who presses buttons. I like to be kind of in the background, but I do chime in pretty regularly. And gosh, we've been doing this cast for, we're at 68 episodes, but it's been well over a year and a half, I think. It's just really come forward as a fun project, and I'm so happy to be part of the team. So
I just realized that we're on episode 68. It was almost so fucking nice, dude.
No.
Damn it!
Oh,
No.
no.
Oh, he's
No.
one away.
We
I
have
had
to
to
end
just
it.
point
We have
that
to
out.
end it. Come back next episode.
Start over. We have to do this again.
I should have
Coming
foreseen
next
this and not had those
Almost,
0.5 episodes in the early 20s.
In fairness, I imagine there'll be a lot to talk about next week. What with the
Oh,
new
yeah.
patch drop.
Oh yeah,
I'm
6.2
busy
is on
next
its
week,
way.
guys. I'm not arriving. You guys can do it without me.
Take a vacation, Ayumi. You deserve it.
I haven't decided where, but I'll be outside my home.
That's
Try the
fun.
Island Sanctuary.
There's so
Yeah.
much coming with this patch, 6.2. Is there anything specifically you guys are excited for? Island Sanctuary is coming.
Let's
We've
go
got,
ahead and
got
just
Raid.
kind of dive in. Let us start with spinning the dial. Niniri.
Oh, well, Sildir Law, right?
Let's go with
Uh,
6-2. Let's start with
Yeah.
6-2.
Yeah, the
Six.
upcoming dungeon.
Yeah,
Oh,
six.
yeah, exactly.
Well,
4.5?
I think technically is Sildon Subterrane coming out in 6.2 and then another Sildon Subterrane 6.2.5? Or is it
That
both
was my
6.2?
understanding.
Okay, cool. Fuck yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
But yeah, either way, Sildir history in general, of Eorzea specifically, Aldenard, I suppose, is what I go for. So that's going to be what I'm looking forward to most. Although, of course, as always, this game delivers on all fronts.
Synodic.
Honestly, yeah. A lot of people seem to forget that Ul'dah was built on top of the bones of Sil'Di, so I'm very curious to learn about what's going on down there. But personally, I'm very curious to learn more about Xenos' relationship with that Reaper avatar, because this one seems to operate on a different level than the one we were exposed to in the Reaper lore. So very curious to see what's going on over there.
Pyro.
Pandemonium for sure. Abyssos and La Habrea. I love the ancients, and I love trying to figure out what drove them to such darkness. And I think that Abyssos is really going to start to open that can of worms up and show us some of those things that maybe the ancients weren't so proud of or weren't so willing to make obvious and known. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with that, especially with some of the references that exist in there with Greek mythology. So definitely Abyssos for
Definitely.
sure.
AnonyMoose.
I'm gonna have to say Pandemonium as well, because I've been like one of the only things I'm still hanging on to and looking forward to is seeing what happens to kind of La Habrea's villain decay. I feel like once we got Emmet Selk and Elidibus, he looked a little lesser as an original, and I was really hoping this would come along and fix it. So I think this is like mostly I'm sitting back and letting things happen right now, just to kind of enjoying the ride, not trying to figure it out. But this is something I'm actually like kind of hooked on and thinking about and looking forward to.
Yeah, right. And Stout.
Anything that has a connection to Final Fantasy IV, that was like the first game in the series that I really fell in love with. Like the mix of Battle 2 from the trailer is just phenomenal. But anything playing into the story and the development of the 13th, and can this world really be redeemed? And the connections with Xenos' Reaper avatar, I find Xenos fascinating. So anything that's tangibly connected to that guy, I'm all in for.
Croatoan.
See, everyone said the really good points. Pandemonium is gonna be awesome. We're gonna get a lot of good information for that, pretty sure. I really want to see how they're going to introduce the Void as an actual place to visit, rather than just that mysterious little thing they like to refer to a lot. And yeah, just the Sildon subterranean. That's gonna be awesome. Real quick, I see in chat someone's asking about the Heart of Savik already. I hope.
All
I
they
hope
need to do to
they-
really mess with people is say, just name a boss in the 8-man raid Sabik, and
Yeah,
that will
yeah.
make
Oh,
people
God.
That's
explode.
all they have to do is just drop the name somewhere in Pandemonium, and it will just help. It will help a lot.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah. Whatever
Neela,
that-
do you have anything you wanna add to this?
Well, I think people probably know I'm very, very normal about Pandemonium. I'm definitely not shaking in my seat over it. I want to take not too much of a tangent on the Sabik thing, because there's there's so little. I speak Arabic, and it's generally not useful in Final Fantasy XIV. There's not a lot of influence there. But a lot of stars were named by Arabic astronomers, and Al-Sabiq is one of them, which is where the heart of Sabik is taken from. And it means the antecedent, or the one that comes before.
Oh,
So that's interesting.
nice.
There's a little comment in chat. It's a joke. The heart of Sabik is just a special creation of the ancients. It was rather large, made with a flour tortilla filled with meat and vegetables.
Damn. I think
Well,
that's
now
probably
I'm
the
just
one
hungry.
we should go with.
Come on.
That's the theory right there.
Perfect. Clip it and
Love-
ship it.
I love it.
That's an interesting take. Could be
Okay,
huh.
so let's go with AnonyMoose. In 6.2, is there a particular subject you would like to kind of not a particular, a specific thing that you would like to see kind of brought to light, we'll say, kind of explored in a deeper detail, and what you think might mean for the rest of the expansion?
How am I supposed to answer about anything other than the heart of Sabik now?
I'm sorry.
we've got two vectors which could maybe go in that direction of maybe talking about it a little bit. And you know, like there was that little preview a long time ago. We were supposed to see it again in 3.0 somewhere in that era, and it just didn't happen. Like, I'm always looking for that. But I mean, in the interest of a new topic, let's say I would like to know more about like the woman in the trailer, and why her scythe is suspiciously similar to Xenos's Void Sense scythe, and why she looks so human if they are one and the same, and if not, why they carrying the same scythe. That's just what I'm thinking about now.
Definitely the same scythe too. I fucking pulled them both up and was like, "Are you guys sure, chat?" And sure enough,
We've got some tinfoil on that. I don't know if you all want to talk about it.
So yeah, we'll tinfoil it right. We'll kind of segue right into Pyromancers. Thoughts on that? Go ahead.
oh, okay. Well, regarding I'm so sorry, my ADHD brain. What was exactly
It's okay. So going into the 6.2, is there a specific subject that you would like to kind of explore that will kind of affect the rest of the expansion, you think?
Yeah, I think that I'm taking a really particular interest in the primals actually, because I'm starting to like wonder, I guess, like how many of the primals are actually the resultant like of the ancients' works. Like I'm starting to wonder if they're a little bit more responsible for like those concepts essentially in the first place. I mean, we know that La Habrea and Ifrita had some relationships that kind of led to the creation of Ifrit, and we know that the Ixal were basically a proto species made by the Alagons, who are literal descendants of this same scientific nonsense that La Habrea is doing. So I'm really excited to find out like maybe a little bit more about the origins of the primals, because I think that could definitely, personally, I think that could tie over to the 12, which is a totally different topic, but
We'll get
in line with the ancients, I'm hoping to see some more like hinting at the origin of the primals.
So Croatoan, go ahead and give your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. I know they mentioned they've tried to get us to pay attention on how the primals are based on like memories or stories that they're told and things like that, and we're starting to see more of those connections as the story gets told, that the origin point was with the ancients, and then thousands of years down the line these stories get altered by multiple retellings and multiple adjustments, lost history, the general passage of time affecting these things, which lead to the gods that we know today, or the ethereal constructs that we know today. And so that's awesome. So I want, on that same line, definitely want to know more about that. See if we can get some more information on, like, bring up Leviathan at some point. Bring up Titan at some point. Try to bring the OGs, and like show where they started, and then kind of we can just follow their little like story down the thousands of years of history. I want to know more about how they're going to make the 13th relevant, because for the longest time we've known that this place has been, devoid of life, and at some point I guess we're going to try to fix it. I don't know. But that's going to be really interesting to see how they're going to explain that, if that becomes the direction that they're heading and things like that. So
So, Synodic Scribe, go ahead and go. What are your thoughts?
Well, other
What's your
than
subject?
the new 8-man raid apparently being the only place Carbuncle's allowed to auto attack anymore.
Zing.
Actually, my point goes back to Xenos' avatar, because as a lot of people have noticed, they're carrying the same site that's the one of the women, and of course that's a lot of people to believe they're the same person. And as exciting as an idea that is to me, like, they have gone out of their way in the MSQ to say, like, oh, we can reverse tempering, but like if the corruption extends to like physical corruption, like that's the point of no return. So if is new data going to suggest that that is in fact feasible and reversible? Because at the end of, I think it was the job quests and Shadowbringers, they even started research into maybe cleansing or reversing the damage of the 13th. So
Okay, if I could just say, it's kind of fucking me
Go
up,
ahead.
because I think that actually could tie to Pandemonium as well, in how let's just say, like, the necessity that exists for how you cleanse a soul, so to speak, and like one's desire to maybe get that person back once they're gone. So I just wanted to throw that in there, that I really like that, the kind of where you're going with that, because I think that could very much tie into the cycle of life and death in this game.
oh
right.
no, yeah, which is why I'm totally excited to learn more about Xenos' avatar, that woman, and the
Yeah.
relationship that's going on in the 13th, because that will give us so much more data to play with in the future,
Yeah.
and might give Alice some PTSD after what happened in Shadowbringers. So who knows?
So go ahead and Stout Helm, go ahead.
Yeah, this is kind of a jumping off point for the avatar, which I think is a super interesting concept. And I know we've already talked about it a lot, but it's kind of like, what is that tipping point to, if the avatar and this woman are the same person, then what reverses that corruption? And this kind of plays into this history of Asm. And I find as the concept of Asm to be super fascinating, but not something that I want to know too much about. I think the mystery really lends itself to making it as interesting as it happens to be. But is if this is potentially an Asm shard, as so many people have theorized, is it going to be contact with the Warrior of Light, us, that changes, reverses the changes in their ether and changes who they are back to their original form? Because as Synodic and other people have touched on, there are specific rules, at least we believe, based on current knowledge, of how these certain things work. And when we talk about breaking rules and doing the impossible, it's usually the Warrior of Light that's at the central piece of, the impossible things happening. So I think it's going to be the contact that makes that change. If I'm right, I could totally be wrong. I've been wrong about so many things. But that's really what I want to know, and how that plays into Asm's history.
The Warrior of Light has
Niniri.
caught a serious case of protagonitis.
It's inescapable.
Niniri, you want to give your thoughts?
Yeah. So my main interest here would be the actual culture of the 13th. We're finally getting what seem to be native ruins there, and I'd love to see what life was like there. With these well, not warriors of light, but these heroes who took on the Aurosite and corrupted themselves. What society did they come from? Are there allusions to Irish mythology there, which I think would be really cool? As we're explaining, we see a statue there. This is a whole new level of information about the culture of the 13th that we've never gotten before. And seeing as how we got so much wonderful stuff in exploring the first, I'd love to see what we can find out here.
That's a really good point. I like that a lot.
I'm not sure if you all noticed, but that statue that's in the center of the square, the character appears to be a paladin and is in the same pose as the paladin wings ability.
Ooh.
Yes.
In a Final
What's the
Fantasy
significance
IV,
of that?
Final Fantasy IV themed expansion, it's possible that they might reference at least tangentially some of the characters more directly. We've already got the four archfiends, so it's just an interesting teaser.
Golbez.
And Golbez.
And
So
Golbez, yeah.
it's a really
And the whole
interesting
moon
teaser.
thing.
The whole moon
Sorry.
thing. No, you're fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm.
I actually just recently played through 4 for the first time, and it blew my fucking mind how many references
Yep.
there were. Like, I finally finished 4 right before 6.2 was announced, so when they were talking about Troya, I was like, holy shit, like,
Yeah.
that's a thing.
Yeah,
And then I
there's
like
a
the
lot.
lunar whale, like I had no idea that so much was derived from that game, so I'm so glad that I played it. That
Crystal
game's fucking
Palace on the
sick.
moon.
If you're a Final
Yeah,
Fantasy
dude.
IV fan, you're eating really good right now.
Oh, dude, I
Oh,
got it
yeah.
backwards. I got it backwards, right? Because I played through all of 14, and everyone is telling me like, "Oh, this is a reference to this and that," and I don't get them, and so I get to now play backwards through them, and it's like reverse nostalgia. It's fucking weird.
That's awesome.
No one tell him that that Elidibus's party is the main cast of 4.
Oh, well, I have thoughts on that.
What?
Oh, so the limit break situation in Seed of Sacrifice,
Oh.
all of the classes appear to line up with the main cast of 4. Not the design, right? Like there's a Lalafell
Yeah.
and there's
Uh-huh.
So the
It's
reason
so
for
good.
that is that that is because of the ability that the Lalafell's cast, twin cast, is an ability only usable by 2 classes in the entirety of 14. One of them being Palam and Porum.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Whoa.
Yeah.
That just
Yeah.
hit. Okay.
When the
Cool.
lore hits.
Yeah, like I just bam.
Another nice pick from recent information is, and I'm sure you all caught this, but the soundtrack for the trailer, the Troya theme is actually the Troya theme. It's just in a different style.
It sounded very similar, but I'm gonna be honest, I didn't spend much time in Troya.
Right? It's a
All I know
minor.
is that the moment I saw Scarmiglion on screen during the trailer, I was like,
Yes,
yes.
Yes, I'm so excited for Rivicante and the others, like, or maybe even, you know, not to spoil for anyone, but like maybe the final boss of 4
Yeah.
showing up would be pretty
Mhm.
sick. Maybe as
That
like
would
an
be-
MSQ
Definitely.
trial
This is a
or
spoiler cast.
something.
Spoil
That would be really
anything.
cool. That would be really cool. I
Yeah.
think one of the main reasons we're getting all these 4 references, and this is just a bet, but I believe 4 just celebrated its 30th anniversary
Oh wow.
in 2021. So
Yes.
I think they're doing this as a sort of celebratory moment because it's such a momentous occasion for the game, and it's just a great game. Like I love.
It's a
4,
really good
so-
game.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they spent plenty of time in Shadowbringers giving out tons of Final Fantasy VIII references, for instance.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Isn't Eden from 8?
sure is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty sick. Eden's so cool.
It
And that
is,
could-
isn't it?
Speaking of Eden, I mean that could be one way that you know, that I very much doubt it, but it would be cool conceptually. And like my head, it seems like one of the only ways to reverse or fix things on the 12 could be the use of, or the 13th, pardon me, could be the use of Eden. But I don't think. I mean, my thought was always that I sort of like assume that there needs to be like matter to pull from in order to like alter matter. So like
Right.
so like you can't just, Eden's not going to go there and just create land out of space out of nothing. I think it would have to alter what's already existing there. And if it's like shattered remnants of a world that was pre-existing, I don't know if it could do anything like that. But just on the topic of Eden, I just thought of that.
Pyro, you just gave me a very interesting thought that I've not had before, and that's the similarities between Ultima Thule have almost nothing, but being a realm of Dynamis and looking at the 13th, looking at potential Void stuff coming and being like, are they going to give us more Dynamis lore?
Oh my
Are they?
god.
I would.
Hmm.
I would.
Oh no.
Never thought of that before.
When the ether is gone, like maybe there needs to be a
Yeah.
way for us to tap into Dynamis and convert it. Like
That
if
could
we
be
can't
epic.
convert Dynamis into physical usable energy, that might be a problem for us considering the majority of the universe is made up of it.
Exactly.
I have
That'd
to
be pretty
say,
cool.
I'm so excited that you brought this up because I also don't think they'll do it, but I like hope and pray that they will because in the Void quests for Shadowbringers, we had what I like to call Team B over there on the 1st with Unakalhai from the 13th and
Yes.
Sayela from the 13th, and people who
Yes,
can rip
indeed.
tears into make Void portals. We've got
And
Gaia
later you
with
get
Ascian
Silva.
powers. We've got Reen still. They've got
Yeah.
Eden, the giant like land crafting robot thing, and you could totally just make a big hole and bring it on over.
I mean, we flew a ship to the end of the universe.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't see why not. Like, I don't know. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Seems like an easy answer, but also like a way to use, like you're saying, to take that existing cast that is all linked to the 13th and do something with it.
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
it ties it nicely. It makes it easier for them to use the first again, so they're not ditching everyone over there and never referring to them again for another 2 expansions. Because I don't want them to disappear. That was a great expansion. You got to bring them back at some point.
So wait, we can fly a ship to the end of the universe. We can jump between dimensions, yet we can't uncloud Ilsabard.
Right.
No, we don't have those weather machines, dude. Listen.
Everyone always talks
It's a
about
conspiracy.
it, but nobody does anything about it.
Fucking global warming, dude. Xenos made it up.
God. Hashtag uncloud Ilsabard.
That's a Fan Daniel plot.
That actually does sound like that sounds like a thing that could have happened.
Dude, honestly, they do. They should uncloud Ilsabard because it's a huge part of the map.
Huge.
I'd love to see.
It's huge. It's been clouded for 11 years. Like
No, yeah, honestly,
Miss Pandaria.
Endwalker was the perfect expansion to finally uncloud Ilsabard, and when I got to Old Charlie and I saw a clouded map, I'm like, you two. Smartest country in the world, and you don't have a complete map of the 3 continents? Get out of here.
Moose is sitting over there laughing at us. I know you are.
I hope so.
Can confirm. Well, now I am. I know so little about like music trivia and deets from old games that like I was spacing out. Like, hey, you think if Amrat had a shark phase and a dinosaur phase, they had like an alien phase?
Yes.
I hope so.
That's one way. That's one way.
Wow,
of putting it.
sugoi.
Oh, Sugoi Desune.
You're getting muted.
amazing.
Yeah, I look at my Stormblood Collector's Edition map on the wall, and I realize like Old Charlayan's already uncovered, Thavner is already uncovered, Garlemald as a city is already uncovered. What the fuck, man? Like, what about all this? What's going
What's
on?
the rest of it? We
The
got names.
clouds serve no. The clouds cease to serve a purpose in Endwalker.
Like the
Yeah,
entire
it is a
Save the
questionable
Queen.
decision.
The entire Save the Queen narrative referenced how many nations in Ilsabard, and we still don't know where they are. I'm just like, okay, come on.
No,
Just,
yeah.
In a weird way, I kind of appreciate it because I thought I had this whole game figured out. Like when 5.1, 5.2 started bringing back all of the stuff I was like thinking about in 3.0, I was like, yes, this is it. We're going to like create 2 alliances on 2 continents. We're going to make friends with Thavner. We're going to march up the center of Ilsabard, surround the capital on 3 sides. And none of that ever happened. They subverted my expectations so hard. And like they gave me like something that followed all the stuff I was thinking about, but subverted everything I was expecting. So in a way, I kind of respect it. I respect the hustle, but I was really hoping we'd see like the ruins of the cities, like what they were before Garlemald, and have to see kind of like the before and after of what it meant to be part of the Empire. And I feel like we did lose that.
Yeah.
I've been very excited, quite vocally on the channel, about wanting to see parallels to the post-Roman kingdoms that formed in like North Africa and France and England, like parallels to that for the sort of new nations forming in the wake of Garlemald.
that would, yeah,
The
like a
histor-
restructuring. That would be cool.
People that were either
Yeah.
conscripted or, I mean, I guess we sort of see a little bit of that, I guess, in like what the fuck was that zone called that all those people, Alamigo. We sort of saw a little bit of that, but not really like the at a civilization level. We saw it at like a very small like village level type of thing where we got to
Yeah.
re-inspire and kind of bring people together again. But
That's
yeah, that
another
would be
thing I
pretty
kind of.
cool.
Yeah, that's another thing I kind of want to ask you guys. What does and this isn't too big a topic, but it is one that kind of is on the back of our minds. It has been all throughout 6.0. Do you think that we will get a Garlemald restoration? And let's begin with AnonyMoose.
I feel like they mentioned it so many times that it's almost guaranteed. Like they mentioned it just slightly fewer times than Corvos. So I feel like both of those
Right.
things
You
are
said the C word.
probably
The C word. Why are you mentioning this town, city, state thing 7 times in game? Where is it?
Yeah,
I think it was
They-
three or four
they-
mentions.
they alluded a few times to like, oh yeah, when we put all this back together, or like they made it sound like something that was definitely going to happen. But again, I'm wrong all the time.
Is Corvos from that's a universe from another game, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
Or is that original to this one?
I'm not
What's
sure.
Corvos?
You
I
mean
mo-
you mean
like,
Bravos?
Yeah, everything I've seen in Corvos is definitely based on Bravo.
Bravos Light?
Yeah.
Diet Bravos.
Corvos is actually is an islet, I believe, north of Stavnir, if I recall correctly.
I'm not exactly
okay.
sure, but it was mentioned by a couple of the cast members in Endwalker, including Grahatia. It's his homeland, apparently, and it's right. So it used to be the place where the people who became Garlean were from, and they got kicked out by magic users, and it got renamed Corvos. But apparently, there's
Right,
Allegan ruins there and everything.
Is that what drove
yeah.
the Garleans north?
Yes,
Yeah,
Corvos is
that was their OG
specifically
land.
it's
Right,
the
'cause
remains of a
Garleans
work
are
camp that the
shit.
Mikotes were settled in by the Allegans. It's where they put all the Mikotes.
It's where they put them.
Yeah, it is
That's
literally.
dirty cat
That is
people.
what happened. Yeah.
If you're someone who reads the short stories, that's also where Xenos' trainer was from, like that inverted Sirio Pharrell story.
Oh yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
true.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is that a Tales of the Shadow? On
It
there,
is.
or-
It's one of these stories that's kind of hidden
Oh.
away. It got released in a
It-
physical medium, and you can find it on a. Gosh,
Yeah, it's on in the book. They didn't actually put it on the website. It's in the novel that they released.
Oh shit! Is that the Tales of
Chronicles of Light, I think it's called.
Chronicles of Light?
Yeah,
That's what it
Chronicles
is.
of Light.
I thought I
Yeah,
ordered
that's
that.
what it
Is
is.
that book not out yet, or it is, and I just haven't got it, or I didn't?
It was out, and then they ran out of prints, and I don't know if they're doing another version at any point, but they need to because
it's very disappointing. I don't have one either. It's a situation.
The struggle of being a lore channel for this game, I swear.
Uh,
Always running
So-
out of books.
Niniri, I want you to give me your thoughts on the Garlemald restoration. Do you think we'll see it by the end of 7?
no, I don't. I think we might see it at some point, but I'm more interested to see a Garlean diaspora, possibly in the New World.
Ooh.
Really?
Ooh.
That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. That's my pet theory.
Okay. What
I-
about Stout?
I don't either. I think there's far too much ground to cover before we get to 7.0, and they've already mentioned we're going to see bits and pieces of where it is we're going to go. And I originally thought like the 13th would be wrapped up, and they've made their intentions clear that we're going to go somewhere different for 7.0. And I do think it's going to be something grounded on our star. And while the patches have been so full of content, like I feel like they're giving us a ton of stuff with this expansion and everything beyond the initial release, I just feel like there's too many things, too many threads that have to be connected. But I think it's coming at some point for sure. And the Garlean stuff is just, and this is me personally, I'm always okay to revisit it because at least from what we got in Endwalker, that's some of like the best storytelling that we got out of the expansion.
Yeah.
Synodic?
I don't think we're going to be seeing anything with Garlemald for a while, simply on the premise of look at how long it took for us to get to the Ishgardian restoration. Like years after people have basically been walking through Ishgard going, man, this place is still a rundown piece of crap. And then finally we got the restoration, last expansion, which was amazing. But no, I don't see us going to do a Garlean restoration when there's so many other things, like y'all said, for us to be going and doing right now.
Pyro?
Well, I'm pretty sure a lot of Garleans are fucking dead now, so that's one problem. The second
Right
problem is
into
that city is probably just inundated with bad fucking shit. I don't know. We might have to like go and figure out some of our own other problems before we're like, yeah, let's go fix Garlemald. That probably deserves our attention at this point. They only fucked like 75% of the world up.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. It doesn't seem like to me like a high priority. I think that it could be very cool because we don't really have a metropolitan-esque city that we can live in, and Garlemald is very much that. With their roadways and all their machinery and everything, they do have a very different because of their inaptitude for magic, of course. they have a very different societal structure and way of living in general, and it's very much futuristic compared to a lot of the rest of the world, obviously, which is why they had any advantage against people in the first place. It's your typical magic versus technology trope, and so
Mhm.
I would like to see it in the future, but I don't know how far out that's going to be, because uh, isn't there also, yeah, I think Frederick is pointing out as well, isn't there a tower? Isn't the Tower of Babel in the middle of Garlemald?
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of a problem. So
Yeah.
unless we have a solution for that type of stuff, then it's probably, I agree with Synodic and everybody, it's probably a pretty good ways out. But I really would like to see it for the just for the different architecture and all of those things.
Mhm.
Well, obviously the Tower of Babel is going to become socialized housing, so
Oh god,
Dude,
You,
It just
you were able to
filled-
build a mansion at the top
Filled
of
up
a
instead
spike.
of out.
you can come stay in my huge tower. It's a portal to the moon.
no.
Every
I
time you do
promise.
that, it cracks me up.
I was amazed. I was
God.
like, man, that's really accurate.
It's pretty good.
Though I will admit, like, every time y'all bring up the fact that the Garleans can't cast magic, I'm just reminded of all the times I've been asked how lore accurate it would be to try and roleplay a Garlean that can cast spells, and I'm like, oh no.
Like, it's literally not in
There
their
are
blood.
a few.
Their genetics deny them magic. Like
It's quite literally
There
in
are
their
a few that
DNA that
can,
they
yeah.
don't do it.
Who are the
It's
who
very
can do
rare.
it?
Yeah, just a few.
Well, who? Like,
It's,
I mean,
it's
I just
not.
don't
It's
remember.
not mentioned in specificity. It's
Oh,
just that
okay,
almost
okay.
none
It's
of them can.
alluded that there have been a few Garleans throughout their
It's- yeah.
entire racial history that have been able to do it, but they've never been named.
Yo, I bet
Yeah,
they were. I
it
bet
would-
they were
it would
potential
definitely have to
warriors of
be-
light, dude. They all
Yep.
died.
Exactly. I was gonna say it's protagonist syndrome kind of thing going on.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
kind of what it sounds like to me. Is like those were your opportunities for something great to come out of your your yeah, but probably just didn't.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Croatoan, you're up. You're up.
So yeah, just following along with what's been said about the Garlean restoration, it would be nice, I guess, but we also have the ongoing problem: how many people didn't even want to join the Ilsabard contingent in the first place? Like there was a heavy amount of people just like, wait, we going to go help them? Nah, I'm out. Like there was that entire segment, people were just dropping out, and like the really small force that went up there in the first place. They would take a lot of, I guess, I'm trying to think of the I'm trying to think of the proper term. I don't want to just like drop like reparations. I guess that's the word. I don't know.
Take a lot of political
yeah.
capital to get it done.
Yeah,
Reconstruction, maybe.
Oh yeah.
the Garleans would have to apologize and apologize well.
I
Essentially,
mean, you've got Euless.
Or-
I mean, I think it'd be cool to see Euless become like a representative for the Garleans because of his more empathetic side that was exposed during the questing.
yeah, for
but-
sure.
You're not gonna get someone like Balins to come over and apologize.
Burn the
So, like,
bed. Burn
right.
the bed.
so sorry to interject there.
You're
Oh,
no,
you're
you're just giving trauma to the ones in chat.
That was wild. That
was-
character is wild.
That was dark, dude. That Garlemald is just literal despair. Like
yeah.
The way you frame that, like, it brings up a consideration that I didn't really think about beforehand, was like there's also the matter of scale. Like when we talk about the Doman restoration, that was an entirely different scale than, say, the Ishgardian restoration.
Right.
So when we think about like what could we do in Garlemald, and like let's say they were referring to it for a reason. Let's say it wasn't a coincidence, like that they had something planned. Is it something on the level of Doma and it's just kind of tacked on somewhere, or would it be like I agree that it's unlikely we're going to get anything the size of Ishgardian restoration for Garlemald, but
well, then
Right.
the thing is, Ishgard wasn't completely destroyed. Doma
Right.
wasn't completely destroyed. Garlemald
Right.
is fucked.
we could,
Is that like
Well,
well, we could. That
Garlemald's
means we
in
could
really
start
rough shape.
anywhere. There,
Well,
we could have a very
I mean,
small
Doma did
scale.
get fucked eventually.
True, and it's very much, I see it as almost like a parallel with like how we're thinking about the 13th. It's like where's the line drawn on like where do we start saying like we really can't fix this? Like, and so I sort of see, I guess I see it in maybe like a similar way as like we can fix Ishgard, we can try and fix Doma, but Garlemald might just be that one that's a little bit past saving. So, but anyway, yeah.
Go ahead,
That
Anonymous.
depends. Are we gonna pop that time bubble?
I wish. I wish.
What were you saying, AnonyMoose?
When? Uh-oh.
Just now.
I was
Years
saying
ago.
something? I've already forgotten it.
I think you finished just with the scale. You know, it's not really sure if it's possible in the way that Ishgard was.
Croatoan and Niniri, do you have any thoughts on it? Any more before we move on?
I think we
pretty
pretty
mine.
much covered most of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just have a quick question. I have not done the capstone quest for the role quests for this expansion. Has anyone else managed to get through them all?
I need to finish.
Yep, totally.
Need to do them all.
I need to finish 2 more role quests, I think, and then I'll be done.
So, Synodic, you said you've done it?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Is that a?
Does that
do you need
reference
me to
Garlemald at
elaborate
all?
on it?
Oh,
or-
I'm sorry. I was just trying to get my bearings. I got a message in chat that they might actually address some stuff related to this.
Oh, that would be
Do any of
interesting.
you guys want it not spoiled?
Go for it. It's gonna be a while till I finish leveling stuff.
Yes.
Is it like, I mean, I don't know. Is
Maybe
it
we
like
should
as good
avoid
as
it.
the Shadowbringers one? Yeah, maybe we should. I don't really want to get
Yeah.
spoiled on that. Sorry.
Yeah, let's
We'll-
avoid
Yeah,
that
no,
one
the
then.
Shadowbringers one was great, so
Yeah.
Yeah, the Shadowbringers ones are all phenomenal.
I have them all unlocked for Endwalker. I just need to go do them.
I'm
Done
almost
Healer, and
there.
That's it.
I've got one
Right.
more job.
I'll keep my mouth shut, but I will say you will enjoy it.
Excellent.
I'll get on that.
well, I got homework to do from this.
yeah.
Same.
So I have a very important topic, at least to one of us, maybe several of us. Aglaya.
Oh fuck.
Hey.
Yeah, that's my shit, dude. I love Aglaya. I'll just get this out of the way.
Go
I
ahead.
cannot wait to find out more about Aglaya. There's a reason my character looks like Derek. I think we're all kind of in the same vein right now. Is either Derek is Ashan or that Oppo following him is Ashan.
Yep.
Could
Yep.
also be Ashan, and that Oppo could be his lover, Menfina, I believe it was. Or
Right.
is it Menfina or Nemea? I can't remember who it was. I think it's Menfina. Could be that. Halone also
Yeah.
traveled the world with Ashan and learned to fight and kill things. So could be an avatar of Halone. We all know that they have those little pet things in there. So
Mhm.
not pets, they're little the minions that they appear as.
Personas.
Yeah, I'm just really excited because I think that there's a lot of really strange coincidences with the number 12, like in the cutscene with Vana, how there are 12 followers of hers, how in Elpis they literally have a thing called the 12 Wonders that is a giant dial that they use to correct the astral and umbral alignments of every single element in Elpis. So considering the fact that the 12 are literally a big wheel of positive and negative elemental energy that embody concepts, it's really hard for me to not believe that the 12 are derived from the ancients. It's really hard for me to not go there because like you get gods like Ashan and Azema, and people see Azema and they're like, oh, Azem, right? I think that's like the biggest red herring in the world because Ashan is literally a walking fucking Azem. Like the guy is a traveler. He goes around the world. He interacts with the people. He keeps, it's just like he's that god that's meant to understand the people and relay that to the others. Literally the way that Azem, kind of traveled the world and was among the people and discovered and all of that. So, yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm going to shut up or I'm going to keep talking.
AnonyMoose,
That's awesome.
go.
Any thoughts whatsoever? Just like loose Aglaya talk.
Yes.
I'm actually just like interested to see where 2022 Square Enix goes with this story because Yoshida gave an interview not long ago where he was almost basically like, hey, so I was thinking like we have no 12 content, so we can just do whatever we want. This will be easy. And then I was like looking online and I saw all this fan art and I was like, oh, dip, that's right. You guys think about them a lot. They're kind of grounded characters. They've been part of your backstory for a long time. And I was like, oh man, we can't screw this up. So we're going to try really hard not to disappoint you guys. So it sounded like he was kind of admitting that he thought this was going to be a shallower thing than it turned out to be. And now I'm just interested to see what 2022 Square Enix does with 2009 lore. And I've got a very open mind for it because I know that whatever I was expecting back in the day, it's not even going to be close.
No, not anymore.
No.
Niniri.
That's awesome.
You know, I don't have huge thoughts on Aglaya. I mean, I love it, but it wasn't what I was looking for. It wasn't what I hoped it was. But I love it. So I don't have specific thoughts besides I'm really interested to see more cool designs for the 12. Oh, and I have a video out uh theorizing on connecting the 12 to the convocation. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Okay,
I'm happy to
Stout?
share that actually. If you have the link, I'll drop it in.
Yeah, I'll try and get it.
Go ahead, Stout.
Just echoing more of the same. I do think it's interesting. I like everybody else. I think there's definitely ancient connections. I think they're going to try and tie up a lot of the loose ends for the ancients and maybe distance themselves from it from 7.0. I do think it's cool. I think the artwork is fantastic. The designs are super unique, and I love that so many of them are departures from kind of what's expected. It's just, for me personally, I'm just much more interested in everything else that's going on. I mean, I'll be all for it day one, but like, it's just not my favorite personally.
Croatoan?
I'm excited to see how Halone is going to be introduced because I mean, with all the gods and goddesses we've known, like we've heard their names. Like you start the game and you probably get introduced to 2 or 3 gods immediately, depending on which city state you pick, because they mention it. The narrator talks about them, and then everyone starts to introduce. They're like, thank this deity or whatever, depending on where you start. But like Halone was this huge concept that moved an entire nation up into the highest mountain of Eorzea, which to this day still blows my mind that Ishgard is just like this. I mean, how do you do that? How do you live on the highest mountain ever? Well, Halone told us to go up there. It's like, okay.
How'd they build the bridge?
You're right. It's like, how do you do all these things simply because a goddess convinced you to do so? Or like, the bishop that had the vision and you're just
Welcome to the world. Half the shit that's built on this planet is because the gods told us to.
Right.
True.
It's going to be really interesting to see will these gods and goddesses, will they connect to their believers? Are we going to get more information regarding the faiths that they started? I mean, because they brought up so this is actually like triple triad lore. So if you ever get the cards, they reference the little things about the gods and like Rhalgr, his appearance as a bearded man or whatever. They said that was supposed to mimic the most devout members of the Fist of Rhalgr, things like that. Like I'm like, is all these things connected? Like, will we learn more about their faith? Will we learn more about the cultures they've inspired? I'm just like, there's so much to learn about what they've done, and I just want to know, are they aware of it? Because that would be really, like, if they were just like, oh yeah, I remember them. I helped them a few thousand years ago. Like that kind of passive references to the cultures they inspired and things like that. So yeah, Aglaya's got like, the content itself of the Phantom Realms got a lot of potential. There's a lot to talk about there, so
All
super
right.
excited about it.
I think
Go
with
ahead.
Ishgard, something interesting to look into is the fact that the site of Ishgard, the city, was a shrine. It was a shrine that was
Saint
before it was a
Remenos.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the people who lived there worshipped Halone before they moved into the mountains. They lived in central Aldenard, so maybe along the river that's sort of below Coerthus. And then they moved up there around the time of the 5th Umbral era, I believe, maybe slightly after. And my read is that they, before they become the Ishgard that we see today, we see the sort of Dravanian hybrid ones that still worshipped Halone, it seemed. And then they became, after the actions of Thornton, they became the current iteration.
Right.
You're speaking
He
of
really
Babylonia?
inspired a lot of the foundations outside of Halone's influence, actually. And I mean, I think that's why Thornton ended up being as they're talking about the Fury and you're going through Heaven's Ward, I got the impression as a new player, I was like, oh my god, we're going to fight Halone at the end of this.
Oh yeah.
So,
Right.
like, holy shit, they're going to hit us with a god that quick. Like, that's going to be crazy. And then it ended up not being that. But I didn't even consider where those people may have come from, Niniri.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's central Aldenard.
Yep. Go ahead, Synodic. Go ahead.
Honestly, this was something I've been looking forward to ever since I made that almost 30 long lore video explaining the 12, their domains, and their history, so this has just been cathartic, honestly. And no, it's like all of you have said, there's been no end of theories on like what's going on and who they are. And I'm personally subscribed to the idea that they are in fact possibly guardian forces, just like we saw in that one dungeon with Quetzalcoatl. So very
Yeah, yeah.
interested to see how that goes out. And all I know for certain is that if we're sticking to the lore, we're gonna have Menfina come at us with a skillet, and I'm totally on board for this.
Frying pan whack.
Plot
The
twist,
goddess
it's a
of
walk.
love is gonna come at us with a frying pan, and it's gonna be amazing.
Maybe we get a Tsukuyomi type battle cut scene, but it's just a frying pan, not the moon.
Yeah, very much.
If I could, oh, go ahead.
I think the only thing I'm like really latched onto is the first thing we were ever told about the 12 was that they left us in the first Umbral era. And that's something that I've like always latched onto and hoped they wouldn't get rid of because it opens so many weird possibilities. Like the first Umbral era, the Great Sundering can't also be the first rejoining, which means there's a gap in between there. And I thought that having the 12 be something that arose in that time, like maybe Heidelin's first attempt at kind of guiding humanity or something like that. I don't know. And there was all sorts of weird stuff that could fit in there. And I'm hoping they don't just ignore that entirely because I thought there was so much possibility to tie that back to the oldest thing we know. But I'm very nervous they're just going to be like, oh, that's old. Don't worry about that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that makes complete sense. I bet Selk even admitted that after the Sundering, all the people were basically so reduced, so stupid, that they couldn't even take care of themselves. So if Heidelin did go out of her way to try and advocate for the creation of the 12 as sort of a guiding force for mankind.
Oh my god. Okay, I have to okay, so listen. So I have to just get in here because I'm almost positive that's exactly what Heidelin did. Because here's the facts, dude. We can't here, regardless of personal speculation, here are literal facts. The 12 are most commonly witnessed by mortal races during times of etheric imbalance, i.e., most commonly calamities. As calamities occur, Zodiark gets stronger and Heidelin gets weaker. But as calamities occur, more and more places and peoples are brought under the thralls of things like these religions. The thing is that these religions and these gods, they're not very interventional. And that's proven by the fact that when we talk to them and they say, remember the power that you drew down at Cartano? Yeah, that wasn't even us. So even in our darkest moment, when we as an entire nation were praying for salvation from the 12, they did not intervene. That was not them doing that. They're completely non-interventional gods. In fact, when you interact with them, you find that their beliefs are actually derived and inspired by interactions with mankind, not the other way around. So I think it's really interesting the way that they've been kind of positioned in the game to literally aid the construction and foundation and continued success of nations like Ul'dah without popping out of the sky and being like, I'm your god, now you listen to me. And it's funny because they pull that fucking trope as soon as we meet them, don't they? Because that's how they bait us into fighting them.
Yep.
They're like, this is our shit. Heidelin's gone now, so now we run this shit. And they bait you into it. But the truth is they know that they don't. They've never been interventional. They're not gods that are like primals that seek to enthrall or seek to spread influence to gain power, because they operate in a pantheon and they respect each other. You can tell by the way that the seven heavens are accessed and how they have a central hub for all of it. So
many moons ago, I was hoping that was like the point. I was hoping that like whatever Heidelin did to make the 12, if she did, that it went sideways, because the Asians use every single thing that intervenes in things as a pawn. So like if somehow the existence of the 12 led to the first Umbral era and that's why they had to leave, like I was so stoked for that. But that was like 3.0, and then
I mean, it could be Moose. It could be. I mean, when we talk about like, I mean, it sounds like these gods learn things. Like they learn lessons over time, and it sounds like they develop almost similarly as people do. And I think that's what makes them so like syncretic with the races, and why there's been such like a underlying like presence of these gods in so many different places over all the different eras. It just screams too coincidental to me. It just seems way too coincidental. And the fact that we get there and they're like, we're led into the place by the fucking walking god rendition of Azem, this fucking traveler guy who somehow has explored all these realms, but oh no, he's never seen any of these gods before. Like, who the fuck are you fooling, Derek? Like, who are you fooling, dude? And so they refuse to tell us, right? They're not telling us why we're here, what's going on. And so to me, it seems very much like this is your opportunity to discover who and what we are and why we were here and what our significance is, and to learn that we're not rulers. We're very much like guiding figures that are here, that literally led to the realization of man's potential without having to empower man with magics that didn't belong to him in the first place, like primals. And they make it very clear right off the bat that they're not primals. So anyway, there's a lot of coincidence happening there. And it just so happens that as the Zodiac and Hydaelyn storyline wraps up, these 12 people show up who as I think Synodic kind of alluded to in his video, I haven't seen the whole thing, but either are them or are heavily based on or inspired by these people, right? Like I don't relate Ashan and Derek to a Zem just because it's convenient. I genuinely think maybe that being is inspired conceptually by what a Zem did. Because you look back to the ancients, and the Convocation were literally the pinnacle of their society. Like these were the people that were their leaders and showed them the way forward. And so if you have 12 people following Vana and they're like, what are we going to do when you're gone? Like, who's going to lead us? You become Hydaelyn. Like, what are we supposed to do? This seems very much like an avenue of like, maybe this is where they went, because it seems way too convenient for me for that not to be the case. But
That's
also
what I abandoned. That's what I abandoned my 3.0 theory for, was that like the 12 people we saw with Vana, they knew by the time that they summoned Hydaelyn that they were in danger of becoming like the Convocation if they didn't die during the summoning. So they like sacrificed all of their life energy to her, and that she kind of released them as emanations like she did Menphilia later.
I mean, they're so conceptual. Think about it. They're
so
astral
much stuff they could do.
They're astral, they're umbral elements, like they're concepts of justice, of concord, of et cetera, that they're basically walking virtue, essentially, is what they are.
Honestly, this could tie into their creation theory as well. Like, there's an entire story talking about how the 12 came into existence, how they emerged.
They came out of the world
and created each other as well.
Yeah.
How
Except Ashan. No,
Ashan
Ashan's the only one. We don't know where he came from. He just came out of nowhere.
Yep, he
appeared.
walked on in. And honestly, that could be what ended up happening. It could have been like Hydaelyn did her thing, the sundering occurred, and they're just like, okay, we need to have someone dedicated to making sure this and this is taken care of. And so, of course, you end up getting entities like Thaliak and no, not Thaliak, Althic and Nimia. But then as time progressed, they're like, oh shit, we need more people to do more things. And that's the story. That's how the gods came into existence steadily.
So,
before we continue, I want to take a moment and have Fallon show us something real quick, or chat something real quick.
I think the world is Silver Tear Lake, and I think that Aglaya floats above it because it's the landmass that was severed from Aglaya. No, I'm serious. I think that's why it floats there, and maybe the gods were created there because there's such a etheric density there. I mean, it's like the most etherically dense place on the planet.
I mean, that would explain why.
Not wrong.
It's a world. I mean, it's literally exactly. It's a big lake. It's where they built the Crystal Tower. I mean, that's separate, but like it's a big body of water. Like that's not exactly like abstract conceptually for like the birth of gods and other mythos coming out of like the black chaos that existed before all type thing. Like I think they could have been born out of that, and I think that's why it's called the source. You know, they call it the source in the first and that kind of shit.
Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't. No, you're fine. I didn't want to cut off Pyromancer.
He was killing me. I just had to get that out there.
Yeah, no, I feel it. In fact,
he's ready.
I completely agree, and I've been like, I get this vibe that Silver Tear Lake is like the font of all magic in the mythos. Like that's kind of the vibe I've always gotten, even from A Realm Reborn. It's just it's like the place. Well of
eternity and WoW.
Exactly. Yep. It's just the place.
Same exact thing.
There's Eorzean mythology claiming exactly that in the canon, so you're good. It's the source of all water and magic.
Yeah, and isn't there anyway, we can talk about that after.
Oh, it's fine.
It's okay. No, we'll get to the rest of the cast on their thoughts about it too.
We can still keep talking as well. I just wanted to give the opportunity. I actually put Pyromancer's GoFundMe in chat a little while ago, and since we are at 163 viewers and it's halfway through the cast, I figured I'd just show the page. So this is Pyro's GoFundMe. I will link it in the chat again, but they are trying to reach this hefty burden here. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I really feel for it. We all do.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but this is the situation. We've already had some donations. Thank you so much in the chat. And if anyone else has it in them to donate $5, $10, $20, anything at all, it's really going to an important cause. And I know he'd appreciate it.
Someone did 500 right at the start of the show. Do you see that?
I do. I don't know. They're
What the
anonymous.
fuck?
But thank you. And I'll link it in the chat.
fuck?
Oh wow.
Thank you so much. Thanks for doing that. I didn't expect you to do that.
Yeah, we didn't tell him we were going to do this, I don't think, or we didn't bring it up
No.
until the last minute because. But our thoughts are with you and your wife. We really feel
Thank
like
you.
awful about what's going on, and to have
I
to
have to-
worry about money on top of all of the other stuff, it's just not right.
Thank
No.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have
And-
to tell her. I have to go tell her.
That's fine.
Go
I didn't mean to
ahead.
derail conversation, but I thought it was a good opportunity. So I'll swap back to the other scene. And yeah, so there it is. Thank you for Silfaria shared the GoFundMe, so we're good.
So I would like to move into Niniri's thoughts on what was discussed. Go ahead.
Oh, on
Aglaya?
on what specifically? On Aglaya.
Yes.
So yeah, it's an interesting idea that the obviously the Silvertail Lake is a pretty big deal, even as we understand it now. It is believed by at least the Eorzeans to be the source of all Aether. I think there's at least an element of truth to that, even if not complete truth. I don't know if it's anything to do with the wall or anything like that, but I definitely think that it has a role to play in the supernatural nature of Aglaya. I kind of like the idea that these beings that was mentioned, that these beings might be emanations of the Aether from the lake, or in some way empowered or fueled by it.
All right, Croatoan, go ahead and ask, or go ahead and go with yours.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm actually I'm trying to share the GoFundMe link. They actually have a nice little sharing button. Sorry, I got distracted.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
so with the with everything that's just been said, honestly, there's been a just really good point of view to be made about how these gods helped establish culture, establish society, and help lead people, especially because when the ethereal imbalances happen, and that's leading to the planet's doom. Like these deities, they just come and help and reestablish the culture and stuff like that. They provide the principles, and then I mean you have people like Naldthal specifically who govern the underworld. He's specifically providing the concept of an afterlife, which gives that stability to a period of instability, to a period of uncertainty when everything is because calamities are not nice.
No.
If you know your lore about the calamities, every single one of them essentially just doomed the planet and could have been very much the last thing that anybody would have been around to see. But there's just that small surviving group that makes it. Actually, now that I recall, it just hit me just now. Fifth Umbral Calamity during the Age of Endless Frost, the only way the people were able to survive was because of the Sanctum of the 12. That building in Eastern, in the Shroud, that was where they went to protect themselves from the cold and the danger of that massive freeze. And I mean the 12 were there protecting people during these calamities, and you have that group of the Alamegans that were established from the refugees that followed his comet
Ralger's comet.
into the mountains. It's like every single one of these stories that start off with such devastating results end up basically being resolved by some sort of sign of the 12, and I think that's really cool. And so I want to know more about that. I want to know their roles and how they decided to do that, and why, I guess the why is, keeping them around so that way, trying to keep society intact all the way through. That way they can get to the point of the future, because the time loop that we learn about in Elpis and stuff like that, like getting to the point in the future where we actually are able to stop the end.
Mankind needed time.
Yeah, they needed
Mankind
time.
needed time to grow. Yep.
Yep.
Honestly,
That's what they're for, I think.
True to your point, Groa, I mean, a lot of people seem to forget that the 7th Umbral Calamity was mild compared
Oh,
to
yeah.
all the other elemental
that stuff was
calamities.
bad.
Which is crazy considering that it was like a pure astral calamity.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, that huge terra flare that Bahamut was preparing to unleash on the world, that would have been the global catastrophe. But thanks to Louis Schwab, we were spared that.
I'm so thankful you mentioned that
It's
because
serious.
the dragon of that size, if you just go to the cutscene, I know cutscenes can be like narratively expansive and not necessarily canon, but just go watch it again because holy F, that thing is so big.
Toying.
It's so big. It's in a moon. It's huge. If that dragon just flew across the sea, it's done. It's done.
Yeah.
But we got
Tidal waves.
yeah.
No, yeah, in that short time Bahamut rampaged across Eorzea, he was so large that he was able to fly between all 3 of the city-states and cause untold havoc.
In seconds.
In seconds.
People thought Deathwing was a hard motherfucker.
Right.
Oh, yeah, freaking Bahamut. I actually asked a friend of mine who is a huge, like, WoW fan. He's been playing since the beginning. Like, would you... For who's the badder dragon, Deathwing or Bahamut? He's like Bahamut, hands down.
Yeah.
I mean, I can
Go
see
ahead,
it's
Neela.
massive and incredibly powerful.
Multiple ages of forced prayer by the dragons.
And the fact of
Alagon's
the matter
super
is
forging.
Yeah.
And the fact of the
It's
matter
true.
is that the realm recovering to reasonable levels in 5 years is utterly unheard of for a calamity. It's just insanely gentle. The other ones were extinction level events.
No.
Not
yeah.
full extinction, but like an extinction level where life has to hit a bottleneck and burgeon forth again.
Do you think that has anything to do with the elemental alignment at all? Like, I don't have an idea, but I'm just like sitting here wondering, like, because it was kind of like a astral calamity in its entirety, does that have any like?
Well, we
Let's,
do know that it left the realm listing dangerously toward darkness. Elidibus tells us this in
Oh
5.3
right,
right
it
before the
didn't
Seat of
get there
Sacrifice.
though.
Which
Right.
is it seems to be part of why they were hurrying up with the next light calamity, greater haste may be warranted.
Right.
I
So
also
let's-
firmly believe that we
Go-
would have had a flood
Go
of
ahead.
light if the Warrior of Light hadn't gone to the first, if they continued having victories without balance, but that's just my personal theory.
Yeah, we would have Ardbirded
Right.
the source for sure.
The very last thing someone said in chat, and what kind of like stopped it and kind of saved us from it. Once again, even if it wasn't really their magic, it was our faith in the 12 again.
Indeed.
So
Their presence
Stout,
allowing
go
people
ahead.
to have something to focus on.
Oh, no,
Exactly.
yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, Louis Schwab even admitted that he knew that it wouldn't be the 12 that he's summoning, but it would be enough.
I want to tack one thing onto like the element thing. Part of it is like story suiting lore, like writers knowing what they're kind of quote unquote supposed to do. Because the cycle of the calamities followed the cycle of the elements. So starting with wind, it went around the entire wheel and hit them in order around the wheel. And when it was done, it was going to do, one astral and one umbral because all things kind of come in those sets. And I think that need to write around the idea of an umbral calamity and try to get that like the light calamity that Yoshida wanted is why they inverted the wheel in Shadowbringers and revealed that astral and umbral were actually opposite of what we thought, because it made the story work. It made
wouldn't
the
have worked
cycle of
if
the
they did it the
eras
other-
work. It made the
Ah.
Divine Chronicles work. Right.
That's a good
Stout?
insight.
You know, I think it's
I
funny you bring
remember
that up,
mentioning that on-
Moose, because I remember...
Hold on, real quick. I want to get Stout's thoughts on this matter because he's been pretty quiet.
Have I? I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine.
Thoughts on just elemental alignment, just in terms of the calamity.
Yeah, this whole thing we've been talking about. Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. I've just been kind of listening and absorbing because a lot of this stuff is stuff I haven't dived into, like the further history, like deeper back. Like I'm just now a recent owner of the Encyclopedia Eorzea, so don't mind me. I'm just kind of learning right now. So you guys
Do
carry
you
on,
have
and I'm just
do
gonna
you
keep
have
sponging.
any thoughts on the Goliath 2 as well? More than just what was said earlier
Just as a raid
about the
encounter. or-
12.
Just I kind of echo the same thing. I think it's interesting that they're based in kind of what mankind, the influence is like a give and take with mankind, and the era of their disappearance, and somebody had mentioned, I forget who it was, but about the need to kind of fill that void, or at least theorizing that Heidelin felt like there had to be some sort of overarching presence to guide what humanity was reduced to. And I don't know if any of you've played the Nier mobile game. I don't play it anymore, but it had a crossover with that Emmett
yeah.
Selk centered story. And one of the interesting things was in a cutscene, it reflects in the immediate aftermath of the Sundering, where Emmett Selk is left with these very hollow shells in comparison to what his brothers and sisters as ancients used to be. And the fact that they can hardly form thoughts, they can't even string together words, they're just throwing out sounds, and just what they were reduced to, and the impact that had on him, and kind of shaped his belief system of these people are a problem, they'll never amount to what we want to be. Anyway, could talk about that for forever. But I think that hint, and that was written by the team behind Shadowbringers as well, so there could be ties back to that. Heidelin feeling like, okay, I can't just leave this as is. Maybe there's got to be some kind of driving force.
Used to be some kind of
Like,
evolutionary guidance, maybe. I mean, that's what the
kinda
ancients were all
think-
about. Sorry, go ahead, Niniri.
No, sorry. I kind of think Emmett's an unreliable narrator in that instance. Yeah.
I would take that route, except that portion was written by Ishikawa-san herself, so I feel like it's intended to be. Obviously, every single human being is an unreliable narrator to a degree, but I don't think it's. Personally, my interpretation isn't that it's supposed to be that far. However, that's the beauty of this. You can really see it in many different lights.
Right.
Yeah, it is
So many
something
things
that
are left
potentially.
up to individual interpretation too, and I think that's a
Yeah.
good thing. There are some things that I wish we had direct answers for. I think Synodic and I have talked about this many times.
Yeah, we
When
have.
you just come out and say that this is why this is the way that it is, so that we're not all speculating and going, no, it's actually this, because headcanon can, and you do have to develop your own headcanon for certain things. But kind of like I look at it as like a Tom Bombadil sort of situation. Some things being left up to the imagination is good. I just wish we had some things that were spelled out specifically.
There's too many
Like,
Tom Bombadils.
I know there's way too many. Like Yoshida, you do a lot for us. I swear. We won't ask for any more races or hairstyles. Just give us some answers.
If you think this game has a lot of that, dude, you're so spoiled. You're so spoiled.
Oh,
I literally. Never mind.
Pyro,
Never
I know
mind.
what you
It's
mean.
okay.
I'm a former WoW player myself.
Me too.
I've been playing since vanilla, and
I had to
It's
write
head
their
against microphone.
write their story for them, dude. I don't get it. They have such an opportunity with re-origination and the Titans, and they just fucking squander it every time.
Yep.
That's what, honestly, that's part of why I like the 12 so much in this game, is because it's that opportunity for a good storyline that I never got out of the Pantheon of Gods in WoW. And I'm not saying that to shit talk. I genuinely mean that. That's honestly, I think that's a lot of what fuels why I love Aglaya so much.
Is that
Well,
sword
it's
still on the
valid.
planet?
It's really good storytelling. Good stories, and some people say certain characters should remain dead, Xenos. But I'm
Absolutely.
all for, if there's a good story to be told, bring whatever is into the fold and just tell the damn story. Like, I'm all for it. Like, they
Right.
brought Gaius back for the Shadowbringers
Mhm,
Trials
mhm.
series, and they kind of fumbled Gaius a little bit in 2.0, which there was a lot of departure there. But they really turned Gaius into a really well-rounded character and a really interesting story. So give me more stuff that's good.
And they
And
did that without having to like discredit what he was before as well. Like
Yes.
the thing in this game is that the character development is very believable. Where in other games it's not. All of a sudden we're black and then next we're white. All of a sudden we're hot, then we're cold. Whereas in this game, most of the characters, and guys included, there is very much a process to how that happens, and it's so much more relatable because it's more real.
And that's why Shadowbringers and Endwalker, you're spot on, but that's why it resonates with so many people. There's so many empathetic angles where you can look at someone who has an infuriating standpoint, like, you know, people's frustration with Hermes and itself, but you're like, I don't like what you're doing, but I can totally empathize with why
Like,
you do the
understand
things you
it.
do.
Yeah.
Honestly, as someone who's been playing since 1.0, I feel like a lot of people missed out on just how much of a imposing figure and menace Gaius was before leading to 2.0, which I feel like is a shame because, I mean, for all of 1.0's faults, which there are many, there were some amazing character moments, especially with characters like Nail and between Nail and Gaius.
Fucking Nail. That's a storyline that maybe wasn't handled the best, but it's
Nail.
very confusing, but worked out in the end.
Got saved in the lore book.
Yeah, Nail de Hastarnis and all that. Yes, the lore book definitely made that a little clearer.
Oh, I was happy to make that Nail video just to clear things up.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that's needed. There was more than a couple of those in WoW, but like at least in the book it confirmed it. So
AnonyMoose, go ahead and give your thoughts.
Which thing am I giving thoughts on?
I know you have something. Because when you do, you're really quiet.
Oh,
So you know I have something. I guess at this moment I was thinking about that transition of characters over time and what, let's say, we can learn from the Darnus debacle, where there was objectively just like a communication issue in how things were designed and released, where it didn't come out very clear, and in some cases came out very inconsistent. And they were able to go back and use their principle of not retconning things from a subtractive mindset, where you add new stuff and reframe and build and try to find something new. And that mindset, that stubbornness to not retcon and not subtract, and how much that led to Darnus being a much cooler character. We can do the same thing with Gaius, who started out in that one cutscene as kind of just like this very imposing Judge Vader, and then you had Nail come in, and they started playing Nail off of Gaius to show you that Nail was crazier, but then they accidentally made Gaius look reasonable and sympathetic and honorable and goal-driven, especially when he killed Nail for the good of the Empire. Well, kind of fed Nail to the Alliance, let us kill him for the Empire.
Suddenly turning his back and looking the other way.
samesies.
Yeah, like if you played 1.0, there's a scene where like one of Nail's airships crashes and you're able to salvage the information you need from that crashed airship. And as you're picking it up, Gaius shows up and talks to you, and he's like, yeah, take that back to Garland. I'm sure that's what you were going to do anyway. I had nothing to do with this. Bye.
No, honestly,
That's so wild.
Love it.
He could have very easily just killed the Warrior of Light then and there, but he's just like, nah.
One of the things that struck me about him and made it kind of heartbreaking when they went right back to Judge Vader, like this never happened in 2.0, was the last thing he says before he leaves is he says, like, he calls you old friend and says to leave him something worth conquering. Like, even in that moment, he recognizes something in you. And I always thought there was going to be like so much more to his character than when they Judge Vadered him again in 2.0. But that's where my thought on this issue comes in, is they brought him back to fix that at the same time they introduced lore that explained why he was acting weird. So then it was like, well, what do we do with him now? Oh, well, it's okay. We can still use him as our guide to the Garlemald expansion. And then they decided not to do the Garlemald expansion. So just like Nael, this is just one stumbling block after another. And I cannot wait to see where Gaius ends up.
Outside of the chicken suit, that is, because
Oh yeah,
And it all goes back to the hardest to beat, everybody.
Oh god.
That's going to be a
The
recurring
chicken
meme.
suit.
yeah, that when I figured out Gaius was in the chicken, like, which I mean I get it. He was being a dad. Like if your daughter asks you to wear a chicken suit and she's very endearing about it, you're probably going to wear a chicken suit. But that's Gaius, the attempted conqueror of Eorzea, in a chicken suit. Like, it just
That's a
that threw
great
me
bit
off.
of
It's been a long
great bit of
time.
disconnect.
It's a long time
Guys.
now, but I had some real dad emotions when we were going through the weapons series in Shadowbringers
Mm.
because,
That
like,
fucked me up.
man, very complicated character. You kind of understand all of the motivations, and I have to admit, and it's a very short sidebar, I promise, but even during Operation Archon, I was like, okay, we got to push him out, but we're kind of doing this underhanded thing just to
Right.
get the upper hand. Like, I was kind of morally gray about that whole retaliation project in A Realm Reborn, which is bonkers because apparently I'm a native of Eorzea, but like there was something in there that was kind of, there was a line that I was kind of walking on and I couldn't, it just kind of felt ambiguous.
So I would like to take this opportunity to go from heaven to hell.
Nice.
And let's rock while we do it.
It's like, where's the Guilty Gear reference? Let's go.
You may know what I'm going to talk about, and it starts with a P.
Oh yeah.
Pandemonium. So, let us get with Croatoan first. Pandemonium. Your
So
thoughts on it, and where we might be headed.
I'm really interested because of course we have this mysterious force we're trying to investigate. A lot of people were talking about Themis. I saw a lot of talk on Twitter about Themis, wondering like what exactly is his role, why is he doing what he's doing? Because we've made the connection. They haven't outright stated it. They haven't directly stated it. So of course it could still quote quote be up in the air. But Themis's voice actor is Elidibus's voice actor. Like, there's the same sounding caliber. So you're just like, okay, all right. So is this pre-Elidibus? Is this post-Elidibus? Is this, at what point does this take place? All that, how that is going to tie into the story that we got in 5.3. How are they going to, add additional details so that they can explain why Elidibus was going all like he's like, I remember you, that kind of stuff. Like, are they going to explain that part? Like all that stuff. That remains to be seen. That story being completed. We got and AnonyMoose brought it up earlier about the villain decay, La Habrea's villain decay. I'm excited to learn more about La Habrea's backstory, learn more about Athena, Ricthonos' storyline. All this stuff. Like we got, and then of course with the trailer, when we saw the trailer, we saw the patch art and stuff like that. We have what looks to be an ancient associated with carnivorous plants, which is like, is that Hamelro? Are we getting another member of the convocation mentioned or shown or something like, or some acolyte of that individual because it's related to plants? Who knows, But like, I mean, there's a lot of potential, and not to mention this is just the second part of the 3-part story, which usually what I've noticed is the third part tends to subvert all their expectations. So I kind of want to keep an open mind over what we plan to witness in the next couple days about the story, because at any point in time, the final concluding story can then just be like, oh yeah, no, it was this, and then you're like, oh what? So, but no, I'm excited. There's a lot to look forward to, really.
Neela, I'm going to let you go ahead and moderate this part since you are the biggest fan of Pandemonium on the roster that we have. So go ahead and take it away.
Well, what am I supposed to do with it?
Oh, you've seen what I've been doing with this.
Well, just call people at random? I'm bad at this. You need to do help.
As such, my job continues. Anyways, Niniri.
Sorry, no reprieve.
Oh, yeah. So I think there's some interesting points put up there. I wonder if we are acknowledging the perhaps almost a non-linear time with Themis. I wonder if perhaps it is post Elidibus, but the reason that he remembers is because he was summoned by the use of Hythlodaeus' aether, in part, of course, and perhaps the fact that this was a transformative act to that aether might have unlocked some of Hythlodaeus' memories of us in Elpis. That could be why he might have some memory of us. I also think that I don't personally think that this is Hamelrot. We've seen aquatic creatures in this form. We haven't seen the aquatic members of the the convocation whose name now is it Mitron? Whose name now?
Yeah,
escapes
Mitron's the
us.
aquatic. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's possible. I personally think it's just another acolyte of La Habrea.
That's fair. Yeah, I can see it. It could go either way because you know
So,
jail.
I
It's jail.
Jail.
Yeah.
Jail. Go back to jail.
Return,
did have an
return to
interesting
jail. Oh,
thought.
we're talking translation, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I did
So,
have
the
one
yeah,
thought
go ahead.
that I
quest in
discussed with
French.
Elio.
Neela, why don't you let us know about your translation that you did?
Oh yes, there's some fun stuff. I poked around at the special site first, and then at the preliminary patch notes. The quest title is going to be something an unwelcome visitor, and I know what you're all thinking, but all the languages are very different. German is like no incident, no special incident. French is go back to jail, not like in jail, but the building. Go back to the jail place. And
Nice.
Japanese is something. Oh, let me see if I can remember it. I should just look it up if I was smart. The beast waits in Pandemonium, which brought me back to the MSQ MSQ stinger, where we hear Themis, quote unquote Themis, saying the dread beast Pandemonium.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna find out more about that? That's what I think's gonna happen. They did toss out some hints as well of, oh well, you're gonna learn more about like what's waiting, and I'm like, is it the dread beast? Is it the dread beast? I've been waiting for this. But the titles of the fights themselves, and just in case people don't want to know, there's a tiny bit of warning. I'm going to be discussing in English 5 through 8. Pretty straightforward, nothing fancy. In French, they actually have names.
Oh wow.
If anybody doesn't want to
Yes.
hear it, hide away now.
Plug your ears. It'll be like 30 seconds. The first one is called, oh gosh, I just have to look it up. I'm sorry, give me 3 seconds. Because I will feel really silly if I get this wrong.
We had this kind of thing with Shadowbringers as well, where we had refulgence for Eden 8, and that is kind of ambiguous whether it's ice or light, but then I believe the French, Neela, you can correct me, was very clear that it was ice element.
Yes. Yes, all right, so here it is. Purgatory Cages. The second one is Purgatory Crossings or Crossroads, or possibly Crossbreeding. The word can be used for all of these. The third one is Purgatory Roots, and the fourth one is Purgatory Heredity. So we're gonna have a really fun read tier this time, guys.
Ooh. So, yeah, that's nice. I like
That's
that.
fascinating.
Ages,
we,
crossbreeds, roots, heredity. So take
So
those
roots-
bosses.
It's gonna be that
kinda-
tree thing, that ugly
Right.
tree thing.
That's what I'm thinking.
And you think Heredity is
Probably a Hamadryad.
Dude, is that gonna
I-
be that chick with the red hair that has the same hair color as Eric Donios?
I have wondered. I have my personal opinion on that character is the hair is a red herring. I don't expect his mom to have red hair.
A red
If you look very close, I wish I'd made that one on purpose. Shame on me.
Hair.
If you look at La Habrea's hair in our little pictures we're given of him, the ends are just a little bit orange. I think he got his hair from his dad, and his mom probably has a different hair color. However, he looks like he got a skin tone from his mom, so I don't think that's his mom. However, it could be a sibling, could be absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's what
I'm
throws me
quite
off. 'Cause I was like, skin color
Yeah.
as well as like if that's like just as prevalent as it is for right. So
I'm very curious about that character, and if there's going to be something
had a
to it or not.
theory.
But I'd love to hear it.
My theory is that it's Eric Thenius and that other character being Asian Prime together.
Now that's an interesting possibility. I do
Okay.
think that's like my main theory for where they're going with Pandemonium. I think it's actually going to be hand in hand with the Void. This is going to be experiments into proto tempering and things like the Asian glyphs.
I think it
Yeah.
could be some weird shit to do with the replication of like souls or the restoration of
Yes.
souls that have been lost. Trying to figure out like how to clone yourself and do those kinds of things that you're really not supposed to. We see in the trailer that La Habrea, the older version of him, who is at this point, I think if you're unfamiliar, I would look into Hephaestus from Greek mythology, god of like crafting and fire, and a god who also has two different forms, one where he's a middle-aged bearded man and one where he's a younger non-bearded version. So when you look at that key art for splash art for it, that's kind of like a pretty big like reference that's happening there. They also have some other imagery in there with like a snake and a raven and some other stuff. But I think what we could end up seeing is like the delving into what if the current La Habrea decided to use Mommy Athena for something. Or after Athena was gone, La Habrea couldn't stand it and tried to bring her back. But we do also see in that cutscene that the older La Habrea is holding a La Habrea memory crystal, like a
And
convocation
it's the wrong
crystal.
color.
Right, it's red, which could suggest that he is the at this time he's the current La Habrea, and then Erichthonios becomes La Habrea.
Right.
That could be why the crystals are different. That's just kind of where my mind is going. Is I think that there's going to be some really dark familial stuff going on here, and I think that La Habrea may have done something really terrible to Athena.
Do
Maybe.
you
I'm
want to
very
mention
curious.
your color inversion, Neela?
I do.
May I cut in for just
So-
a sec, Neela? Really quick, I
Go ahead.
promise. This is
it's
just
fine.
humor me, probably irrelevant, but I just want to show you guys something if you're not familiar. This when I saw the trailer, this I'm gonna change scenes. Her character design really tripped me up because of this anime.
God damn it, weeb.
No, you just have to see it. Now, plants, short red hair,
Oh, hey.
the end. So that's all. It's just a little bit of brain
I
worms
love
for
that
everyone.
anime.
Little bit of brain
It
worms.
actually is a very good anime. You should.
Very good anime. Anyone loves a good story, go watch Ancient Magus Bride.
All right, that is all. Thank you for humoring me. Color inversion.
Color inversion, yes, my lovely theory that's always gone nowhere, but you never know, maybe this time will be different. Interestingly, though, if you invert the color, that is to say the color values and the light dark values, for that red crystal in his hand, it is very, very close to what it was in when we saw it in 5.3. So I'm wondering if there's some kind of corruption setting in. That's my personal take on it, but we'll see.
There could also be I also like the idea that maybe La Habrea was delving into how to remove things from yourself. And that was a big
Yes.
thing in World of Warcraft, where you try to forcibly like excise corruption and it creates monsters. And so there could be like I really think we're gonna get some real fucked up mad science-y shit, like where
Yes.
he really was trying to like pull something out of ancients or change them in some kind of way or clone them or restore them. He's doing something real fucked up in there.
Back in in 2.x, I forget exactly. Ramu says something about the darkness at the heart of man, and I still think about that a lot, and I still wonder, is that possibly related to this?
Is the heart of Sabik the darkness from the heart of La Habrea?
I mean,
Every
or like the heart of like as it was mentioned earlier, the what was the word that you used? Was it antecedent? What was the
Yes.
yeah, like it could have been the one to come before, or that that heart could be literally like the manifest darkness of the product of something being forcibly removed from somebody or taken out at an etheric level.
I think the Japanese word for it is something that translates closely to black auracite, actually, for Heart of Sabik.
Oh, yep.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I remember that. Yeah.
I don't speak
I
Japanese
remember
myself,
that.
so I have to rely on secondary sources for that. But that's what I've been given to understand.
It is true.
I also think there's a very good chance we're going to get personized La Habrea, like not that he can't have done bad things, but that will be like, I get why you do it, at least to some degree. Because if it would feel, as soon as I got into Pandemonium, I was like, oh, so they're humanizing Elidibus and La Habrea for us. I see where this is going.
It's gonna destroy me if it's some kind of like and that's kind of like the angle that I am thinking about with this, right? When I say like he may have done something really terrible to Athena or something that Erichthonios will find out about, or vice versa, whatever. Like that's where my mind always goes, is like there's pain behind that. There always is. And maybe it was the pain of losing Athena. Maybe I don't know, maybe, this is like hits really home for me. So like maybe they were gonna have a child and they lost the child or something, and like Erichthonios is a product of the science to create one. Like you could get really in deep
Trying to create
with it if you
souls.
wanted to.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
trying to bring back something that was lost. It's driven by pain, and it's, or it could be driven by the all the other pride or something really terrible like that. But I think it'll probably end up being very personable.
Jet black holy stone, whereas holy stone is the same used for auracite. Yes, thank you.
So, Synodic, I want you to go ahead and give me your thoughts.
Honestly, the entire thing with Elpis and Pandemonium to me has been fascinating because based off of what I've seen, the Warrior of Light, this is their first time ever having traveled back in time. So, since none of this is technically or could have happened before, what does this mean for Pandemonium? Because if the Warrior of Light was always destined to die during the Eighth Orbital Calamity, and the only reason we're getting to see this future is because of the intervention of Shadowbringers and that story, like, what does that mean for Elpis? Because now there's a rogue factor that was never here before. So maybe we'll get to see sides of these characters and the environment and Pandemonium itself that never technically existed until now. It couldn't have existed until now. So to me, that's like the Wild West of writing, and I love that.
Stout, go ahead and give me your thoughts.
I would love to, but I'm going to take this opportunity. I've got to get my son to baseball practice. So I'm going to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed it. I'm so sorry that I've got to dip early.
It's okay.
But I really appreciate you guys
Well,
having
life
me on.
takes
It's been a great
place.
time.
That's right.
Tell
You're
your
awesome,
son,
Stout.
man.
RL
Nice to meet you.
first.
tell your son we cheer him on. We're all cheering him on.
We're all cheering him on.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. You take care.
Get some
See you, everybody. Bye,
bangers.
chat.
See ya.
It's some bangers.
Some bangers.
Hit some
Yeah,
bangers.
bangers.
Speaking of bangers, the music in that trailer.
Oh my god.
I need those lyrics like ASAP. I will do a cover if
Yeah.
I get those lyrics.
Every
I
I
wanna
just
do
want to
it
know what they
covered.
say.
Right?
Niniri, I don't think we've heard from you yet on Pandemonium. Go ahead.
I gave some of my thoughts. I did have one more theory though. I think it's interesting that a lot of the creatures that are being created in there that we face are, you can trace a line between them and a specific ethereal element, like earth for the tree, or water for the hippocampus, or fire for the phoenix. I wonder if perhaps Elio, the other one of the other three members of the Eorzean Archives, proposed to me that perhaps they're building. Perhaps he's almost foreseen the end of days, and has decided to try and sort of formulate his own way of facing off against it by strengthening the aether, by creating beasts that produce or augment the elemental, the sort of the basic aether of the star.
You know, that's a fucking sick idea because there's a potentially huge like Odin reference in La Habrea's appearance, and that being that he has one eye that's darkened. And in Norse mythology, Odin sacrifices his eye to the Well of Erd in order to gain like forbidden knowledge. And actually, I believe Odin actually foresees Ragnarok. And actually, I think that's what happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. And so he actually starts preparing like all the different warriors of the world and stuff like that in order to stand off against the end of days. So I actually really love that idea that maybe he's prepping for something that he's foreseen, because I still have, like, even though there's a lot of Greek influence in the ancients, I definitely think that you can subtly have references to other mythos. And if I were to draw it to something else, it definitely would be Odin's Norse. I actually really like that idea that you
So-
just gave.
Honestly, the fact
Yeah.
that Final Fantasy XIV has been taken from so many other cultures in the world, I wouldn't put it past them.
No,
And
I
now
mean,
that- Yeah.
it's great. Go ahead, Crow.
Now that you bring it up, you mentioned Odin, and I'm remembering that Odin got the secret to the runes by hanging himself on the world tree. And one of the monsters that we're fighting is a world tree. I mean, it may not be the world tree, but it is a giant tree.
What if it's
So,
named like
like-
Yggdrasil or something? Dude?
Right?
I will shit myself, dude. I
I'd
will
be like,
freak
that
out.
would, that would fit so well if it's just like, yeah, the secrets to the runes are on this tree, and you gotta like, there's a body in the tree too. If you look really closely, there's
Yes.
a body in the center of
Yep.
it. So it's like, oh my gosh, like
What if that's Athena, dude? What if he like? Oh, that'd be fucked up.
I am staunchly of the opinion we won't see Athena till Finer Tio, but I do
Yo, I
think
put
we
my
will
girl
see
on the
something.
screen.
You're probably right, because that'll be like the big blow up at the end where it's like, holy shit, this is what happened.
right.
Anonymous, I want to hear your thoughts.
Oh, finally, yes. Okay.
Say the best for last, dude.
As soon as we started talking about La Habrea's motivations and like everybody got like super into it, I didn't want to cut in, but I'm just sitting here like,
All right,
Uh,
let it go.
so, like, first off, like the other stuff we were talking about just kind of gives me a headache. So I don't want to talk about like the Themis thing. He's driving me crazy. I can't make sense of it. Like he's working under a convocation member as opposed to on the convocation. But
He gets the
Azem
white
is
robe.
Azem is Arazem, but he's
Mhm.
got the white robe, so maybe he like stepped down to an advisor role. But if he's the Elidibus, then why does no one recognize him? Because Emmett Selleck said everybody
Masks.
gossips. He said everybody gossips about him. So he's like, "Hi, I'm Themis," and no one's like, "Holy shit, it's the Elidibus." Anyway, I don't want to talk about that, and I'm not going to go on another rant about like time travel and how glad I am that we're locked in another loop, because this means that like we're doing this because we already did this because we always did this, so now we just got to go live ourselves doing it, otherwise we never did it, so we just got to go see what we already did back then when we're the age we are now.
Definitely not talking about that. No,
No,
How
rant
could
about
we
all
have
that-
done it
that'll
if
be
we
the-
died to the 8th number
Gone.
calamity?
That'll be the rest of the show if I start there. So I'm just gonna like the thing that I'm convinced of it, but like I said, I'm wrong all the time, so be prepared. Uh, I've convinced myself that there's a theme going on, and that's inner emotions being forced out.
Same.
And so
like the Shaw.
the first thing we saw was Eric running out, and his inner emotions, his desire to let his grief out and be angry at people is going out of control because he heard these whispers. And then we fought the key warden Hot Chocula, and like his
Thank you
inner
so
thoughts-
much.
His inner thoughts and emotions were going out of control because he wanted recognition and to be close to La Habrea. So I think that's what's going on here, is that La Habrea has also heard the whispers, because Eric talks about like how La Habrea doesn't care about Athena and just sent his kid off, and like he's just so cold and doesn't give a shit. And Themis points out like, you might not have a good read on that. Like La Habrea is known for his unshakable decorum and his calm, confident presence when he's doing his duty, but that doesn't mean that's who he is inside. And that one little throwaway line to me just says that's what this is about. That La Habrea has heard this thing, and that he is letting out his grief and his desire to have Athena back. And that's what this is going to end up being about, is that he is also in the grip of this thing.
I like that take.
That's a good
That's big brain. I have to go back and watch all the dialogue and cutscenes.
Well,
I
as
was
it
so enthralled
happens,
by
I
it, I forgot to
actually
take
did
notes.
a refresher video. Just saying. I did it for this purpose though, because it's been so long, especially if we did it right away at the start. It's been a little while, and no lie, 2/3 of those scenes are not in the Unending Journey. You can't just go pop the cutscene and it's not there. It's frustrating to me, actually.
Yeah, that is frustrating actually, because I thought I could. What the frick?
A few of
I
them you
didn't take
can,
notes.
but
Fuck.
it's okay. I did a video.
Okay.
We'll link it.
That's big brain, dude. That's yeah, whatever. I like the idea. Whatever this thing is that's in there.
Fair
like-
fair warning. Probably about like 20 times over the course of this game, I've had like this big brain thing that's like, hey, that fits really well. I'm really looking forward to that. And it's not even close.
Oh, well, same.
Same.
I mean, that was my life.
Yeah.
But that's
Wow.
part of the fun.
That's
Yeah.
the lore theory for you.
Sometimes it was right. Usually it wasn't, and it usually was more fun when I was surprised when it wasn't right. I don't know. Just
A lot of
depends.
times what they come up with is more compelling or takes things a direction that I hadn't thought to explore, and then I get really into it.
Yes.
My
That's kinda-
favorite.
I like
Oh,
what
go
Mitch
ahead.
just said, like this, like being. I forgot about the whispers thing. Like I completely forgot that was an element occurring in Pandemonium. So thank you for reminding me of
Chorus of
that.
whispers.
That's fucked. Like that's got me thinking. Like, wait a second. Maybe
There's-
like he's doing some shit like that's not quite of his own accord necessarily. Like
It's
forced
very-
into an
it's very-
emotional state.
It's just a compulsion, yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Mm.
and it's funny because that's like, isn't that kind of in the same vein as far as what Hermes was dealing with?
Mm.
Like,
Not entirely dissimilar, yeah.
I mean,
I
a
will
desire
say-
to understand like the meaning
Yes.
of life and like how it led to his like opening of Pandora's box. Like,
Yeah.
sort of similar, but not that wasn't necessarily maybe like forced out. If like what Moose is saying is accurate.
Well, and Themis actually mentions what Erichthonius experienced sounded like powerful mind-altering magic. So I really want to know more about this powerful mind-altering magic and who or what is casting it. And why?
Yeah, and it could. I wonder, like, you could still even take the angle of it could have been something they created that ended up
Mhm.
fucking them over. You know, their zeal got the better of them, and now this thing has kind of got
Well,
its grip on them.
and they can create things that do things that they can't. For example, Meteon can use Dynamis, even though the ancients can't
True.
feasibly, reasonably use Dynamis. So they could accidentally create something that eats memories, for example.
Holy
I've
fuck.
been reading too much SCP
The
stuff.
camp
Therefore, I
posts and
couldn't worry about it.
everything there too. Like, you're scaring me
Yeah.
now.
Actually,
shit.
Darcelian brings up a point that I had thought of before. Hesperos reminds me a lot of being tempered. I really wonder how much
I-
Pandemonium is going into like proto-tempering or concepts that underlay tempering.
And didn't
Yeah.
they say, what was it, like right before we go to Ultima Thule, they said that the primals that they summoned to power the Ragnarok, that's the original spell, and that
Yup.
it was being altered by the Asians to cause
Mhm.
the mind-altering magic, or suffusion of ether to the point where you lose your sense of self. So if they're like they developed that in Pandemonium prior, and that's just the magic that they use in the future as Asians, like, I mean, it would give it the precedence. So
It would make sense.
yeah.
I wonder if that idea of a loss of sense of self is something to be drawn to the fact that La Habrea changed bodies so much that he almost experienced this
Oh,
change in
shit.
personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good take. That's fucking, yeah.
This
Someone
whole
also
There's
kind
a
of
lot
said
of-
that La Habrea weaponized tempering. They feel like more than some of the other ancients as well.
It was
or
kind of
some
his
the other
thing,
Asians.
yeah.
It was, yeah.
Mhm.
And it's interesting as well that like it could end up being tied to the heart of Sabik again, not to bring it back to that, but I mean, when you think about it, like that was again, for those who don't remember, that was the core of the Ultima weapon. The reason why the Ultima weapon needed to take in the power of the primals was to basically power this core. That was the heart of Sabik. That was really the true power that lay within the Ultima weapon that Gaius didn't know about. So La Habrea caused Gaius to unknowingly unlock this, allowing the casting of the spell
Yeah.
Ultima. So
thank you so much for mentioning that, because it's been in my brainworms for the last 5 minutes. Like the
Yeah.
connection between La Habrea, Ultima, and forgive me, but Ultima the High Seraph. Is there?
Can you elaborate on that, on the High Seraph, because
Yeah.
I'm not as familiar with
No,
that.
it's fine. So there's this weird connection that Moose can speak on pretty well as well about Ultima the High Seraph, which is the Ivalice boss in Orban Monastery at the bottom. And her battle quotes are frightening. She says, "I am the only god." And she casts like what looks like a supercharged up version of the spell Ultima. It's called Ultimate
shit.
Illusion. It's bonkers.
It's a cool animation.
It's bonkers. And so we have the same name. We have the same name, spell, and according to the lore book, like space alien who was morphed into a primal state by
She was
prayer.
basically Genova.
Basically Genova from Final Fantasy VII, but it's like space alien weird thing that this doesn't make sense in the lore book. To me, it never quite. There's something weird about it. Moose might be able to touch on.
There's a fun thing just to add to that. They actually dropped a really interesting lore bit on the statue. If the or what is it, the thing that
Yes.
they were giving out with the emote, you actually, if you open up the flap, there's like an entire description of who Ultima is. I have my friend who bought the statue sent me a picture of that lore bit, because I wasn't going to buy the statue.
That's right.
Lore bit. As much as I love lore, I'm not going to spend $200 for a little paragraph. Unfortunately, but
respect that.
But yeah, they actually they describe a really cool point about how she wasn't even self-aware. She was just like this consciousness that just was from a different dimension, like that space alien. Like she was from a different world, and she was basically given form through people's prayers, like the ability that prayer, the primal aspect and stuff like that. That's how she got a body. But prior to that, she was just the concept of destruction. And it was just like, it's a lot.
It's really cool, yeah.
It's pretty cool
Hulu,
stuff.
dude. Yeah.
Yep.
Like Caleb said, that's dope.
Synodic, I want you to go ahead and give me your thoughts on it.
Thoughts on?
If you have thoughts on Ultima, if you have any more thoughts on Pandemonium, on the La Habrea situation, anything.
No, I'm good over here.
You sure?
Positive.
I'll punch you in the mask if you don't say anything.
What? Don't break the mask.
I won't let him. I'll protect you.
No. I mean, look, I mean, I said my piece about Pandemonium, and as far as the High Seraph is concerned, I mean, I could go on for ages about the Aetheryte and all that good stuff.
Well, then let's hear it.
Are we sure we want to get into
Give me
the
a TLDR.
entire side tangent that is the Lucavi?
I mean, Fallon
no.
and I are huge fans, and I mean absolutely huge fans of Tactics and Final Fantasy XII. So
no,
maybe
yeah,
we may save that for another episode where we have you on and we can just kind of go off. But
That would be awesome, actually.
Oh, no,
'cause then
yeah,
I can talk about the
personally.
Ascian connections too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Tactics
we can make that
Advanced,
happen then. That sounds
I
amazing.
played the shit out of that game as a kid.
I want to learn about that. What the fuck?
oh yeah,
Come on
Tactics
over.
is a beautiful game, and so is 12. Pick one.
Oh, 12 is gorgeous. I love it.
I wish you could buy Tactics on Steam.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, same.
It's like one of the only ones I don't have.
I want it.
Type O. I don't have Tactics.
Typo is a port, unfortunately, and they tried. They made a remaster of it, and even though the remaster is great, it still shows its age.
Yeah, I think I have the remastered one. I don't know.
It's a
Anyway,
very dark game too. Very dark.
that's why it was given to me. That's why it was gifted to me. They're like, this one's apparently got. They were saying it's got some of the darkest storytelling, and they're like, if you like that shit, you should probably play it.
It's very dark. Anyways, going back to our subject. So I still want to kind of keep it Pandemonium based. So
Well, did anyone have anything on the proto-tempering or the tying to physical alteration
go ahead
due
and do that,
to,
yeah.
like, the void?
Well, with proto-tempering, it's definitely wild hair stuff, Neela. But I was
Yes.
thinking, like, and again, don't trust me for any of this. I just get crazy sometimes. But if there's any linkage at all to the High Seraph, I could imagine an entity like that doing the tempering. So, I don't know. It's weird. It's probably not even close, but it's a curious thought that just kind of keeps spinning up there.
Neela, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask them regarding to Pandemonium?
The only other thing I had was that I wonder, because we know the void was destroyed by a flood of darkness. All this ether gets tipped out of aspect and transforms people in a seemingly permanent way. It seems to me that could be similar to over-aspecting to tempering, like we see in Noah's Noah? Oh gosh.
I think
Yes.
that's right. Yeah.
It was
That's correct.
in his little slideshow that he shows us the Sephiroth ads,
Right.
whatever those things were called. I'm blanking on the
Yes.
name. But
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
someone mentioned earlier something, and I hadn't thought about it before, about the void scent and the similarity of the scythe, which I myself have verified the fine details are indeed the
yeah.
same, but also appearing as a person. And I'm wondering if there's like, is this one special? Can she transform, or do we do something to fix this? And if so, could this be used on tempered people? Does anyone have any thoughts they wanted to add on that?
I think it'd be just random kind of. This is just kind of hair fucking theory type deal. But I think it'd be cool if she was like the. I haven't finished the Reaper quest line, so I don't understand all of the little intricacies. But it'd be cool if she was like maybe the first one on the 13th to like learn. I guess learn how to like be one with the void, but not like be overcome by it. Like basically like the first, I guess, like first real Reaper ever.
That would be interesting.
Did
actually.
you? Did they? I had a shower thought the other day, and everyone thought it was so cool. Oh, you should definitely think of more like this. And I'm like, whatever. So my shower thought was in the trailer. Ishtola is carrying around that crystal, saying that who better to bear Heidelin's gift than her chosen champion. So I'm thinking, oh well, we're meeting Xenos's Reaper in the 13th. We probably have that crystal with us. What if we give it to Xenos's avatar and it turns into that girl? Because what if she's the shard? And by giving it to the Reaper, suddenly gains back her ability and her form, and voila!
Maybe something that the void kind of stripped away, being returned to her essence.
She probably, because the void as we know it is a morass of twisting, corrupting ether. So she probably lost her form, her sense of self. And so what we're doing, since the crystal no longer has its use of, pointing us to Meteon, it's still a gift from Hydaelyn. So passing it on to Xenos' avatar, a crystalline pure form in all of the sense, could possibly have that transformative effect.
Trying
The
to
thing
turn
I
the
find-
soul off and on again.
The
That'd
thing
be
I
cool.
find interesting about the possibility, I remember back in 6.1, I actually had to review it to remind myself, but the avatar returns and it says something like, "So I return to a world bereft of saviors," or something like that. And I'm just like, what if that instinct to save, what if that overcomes something? What if the crystal jumpstarts that? Definitely out there, but I'm very excited. I can't wait a couple more days. I want it now.
Right.
Something I did
Play
see.
test patch.
Something I caught sight of in the video, in the trailer actually, is on one or two frames. It's very, very small. There is a scene of us fighting. Oh gosh, what's she called? The Earth Archdevil.
Oh, the
Scarmiglione.
Yeah, Scarmiglione. There's it's either us or the woman, I forget which, stood in front of a darkness crystal that's on the floor.
Oh,
Like a
really?
little
I hadn't
tiny
noticed
one.
that.
Mm.
I absolutely look
Yes.
for that.
Crystals of Darkness are back?
That's immediately my
Man,
homework.
I've been praying for that for like ever. I am most interested. Thank you for bringing this up. Thank you so much.
And again,
Let's
it
see if I
is
can find it.
it is the Final Fantasy IV expansion, sort of, with the Crystals of Darkness being the
As much as you
that was-
disagree with
yeah.
me, Fao.
the set from the underworld.
Yeah.
It can be both the 4 expansion and the Stealth 9 expansion.
Listen, he still disagrees with me about the Seed of Sacrifice thing, but that is bluntly true.
Yeah, that's fine.
That shit's
all
blowing my mind, the
kinds.
crystals, dude. When I first went down there, like I was on the surface, I'm like, nice, I almost have all the crystals. I'm close to beating the game. And they're like, yeah, go downstairs and there's dark crystals. I
Yep.
was like, what?
Yeah.
This is where they came from? Like, what?
Yep.
It's fantastic.
So, wrapping up on our segment on Pandemonium, and I want to actually kind of ask you guys: is there a topic that you guys would like to ask the rest of the lore crew?
You mean from chat, right?
Well, no, I actually mean from our guests: AnonyMoose,
Oh.
Pyromancer, Synodic, Croatoan, Niniri. Is there something that you would like to discuss with one of the other lore creators, lore content creators, or with the entirety of the cast present that we have today? Is there a topic that kind of springs to mind that you wanted to possibly say outside of Twitter chat?
I'll let if anyone else has anything go first because I have to think about that. I have one.
I don't have anything like serious to discuss, but a matter of interest that's sort of like dear to my heart. Anyone have like a 5th Astral Era city state that they'd really like to see, like one that follows a god that we haven't seen yet? Anyone want to see like a
yeah, that would
Menfina
be
one or something?
right.
I-
No, that would
yeah,
be cool.
I kind of would have liked to see a functioning, not wiped out civilization for Ashan.
Talk about Maurice.
But
Well, yeah. Well, we have Oshan, right? Oshan's Nim from the 5th. But
Right,
yeah.
right.
Seeing a living one like nowadays.
yeah. Oh, is that?
Yeah, that'd
Oh,
be
you were
awesome.
just saying in general from the 5th. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's excluded then. That's yeah.
Go ahead.
One thing that sorry, I had to mute myself. I had to sneeze right there. So one thing that I kind of tangent am really interested to see is the descriptions of the heavens from the Encyclopedia Eorzea. They actually give you pretty like fairly detailed descriptions of the heavens, and they actually talked about like that big floating iron citadel of lightning and stuff. Like that's in Encyclopedia Eorzea.
Yeah.
So if anyone's curious, like to get an idea of what the heavens are actually going to look like when we get there, they're pretty damn accurate when described in the book. The one for Halone actually really excites me because for Halone and Menfina, it is that they in the heaven of ice they live in a giant citadel that is carved hand carved by Halone's spear, and the carvings are of gigantic frozen moonbeams.
That's gonna look gorgeous.
Suspiciously accurate.
Yeah. They have of it's going to be beautiful. So I just if anyone is curious about that, the descriptions are really exciting as far as the environments that we're going to find ourselves fighting in.
How about the necessary like holy cathedral battle track that's going to come with that?
Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh
It's
yes.
gonna be
As my patron
nice.
deity is Halone, I will probably say a prayer before fighting her.
Yes. I'm so
I'm
excited
sorry.
for her. She's not
Maybe
even my
they'll
god,
take,
but just what she's the god of makes her awesome. Go ahead, Niniri.
Maybe we'll even get elements from the snow cloak theme in there.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Get some
A
little
a
fucking
reference.
Yes, dude. Get some little fuck. What's her fuck? How do I forget her name? I can see her face.
Izael?
Zale, thank you.
Oh no. I'd cry.
Get some little little emotive in there, something she pops up, or I don't know.
Synodic,
Tear my
what
heart
about
out.
you?
Love it.
Oh, with just random topics?
Yep. What is there a topic that you'd like to discuss with the rest of the crew that you possibly may want to ask Pyro, AnonyMoose, Croatoan, Niniri? Is there some kind of topic that outside of Twitter or a DM possibly want to talk about?
Well, there was this one thing that Croatoan and I talked about a while back that eventually involved a conversation between him and AnonyMoose, which, like, I would love to just get Moose's take on firsthand. And that is basically that one cutscene with Eorzean and Shadowbringers and how the translations change the meanings and framing of the words astral and umbral, light and darkness in almost every language. And basically Croatoan eventually showed me a explanation of Moose's take on how like there's big D darkness and there's little d darkness. Same thing with light.
Right.
And how basically it's all kind of screwy just because, like Moose said earlier, Yoshi P really wanted to get that calamity of light in there.
It's such a good trope that like WoW never capitalized on. The overbearing. They gave such strong hints of it with like the Naru that tried to. I don't know if you're familiar with that storyline, but there's basically this like light angel made of crystal that tries to force its divine will upon this guy whose literal entire storyline is about forging his own path. So of course he doesn't do it.
Yeah, I remember that
They
scene.
had this they had this overbearing light aspect in that game, but they never actually brought it to the forefront and like made it fucking terrifying. In my opinion, that's how WoW can redeem itself. Is they need to take the goddess of life and light, and they need to make them scary and a threat, and you need to overcome that. But anyway, yeah, that was I don't know where the fuck I was going with that. But anyway.
I remember that scene. I was pissed.
Yes.
Yeah, it was weird.
Since you were the forefront of explaining that astral umbral thing in Shadowbringers, why don't you go over that? Because I do remember watching Pyro stream and him trying to look at that, and it's like,
The chart that I didn't expect to go around as much as it did, or I would have fixed that green line to haunt me.
Yeah.
My life. It's not,
Let me get my eraser.
We do not see it.
3D. Yeah, I love joking about this because it's like it's one of those times that they addressed something that it would have been a pet peeve of mine if the lore didn't conform to it, and yet I don't think a lot of people even understood what the hell they were talking about, never mind why it was necessary. So I'll try to make it as concise as possible. Back in 1.0, there was no light and darkness in this game. There was just astral and umbral. And if you look at the different languages, there's like, okay, in Japanese, it's like star energy and soul energy. And then in like German, it's like light and shadow. And it's like, it doesn't match in any language. So when they when they try to explain how light and darkness work, they're like, okay, well, they're not the same thing. Astral and umbral and light and darkness are not the same energy, because always astral and umbral have to be elemental energies. they're part of the elemental wheel. They're part of the elemental energy spectrum, whereas light and darkness are completely separate energies. Those are primordial energies. So what Urianger is trying to explain to us is that Eorzea has assumed that when you pull all of the elements towards the astral pole, that this would be creation and generation and energy, and that would be associated with light and life and good things. And vice versa. Umbral energies would be like the nether, the shadow, the under, and that would be like chaos in a way. And we're realizing that we've had it backwards. And when he says light and darkness, when he refers to what the source, or not, what the first calls it, that's actually uppercase darkness versus lowercase darkness, as he was saying. So uppercase darkness is primordial energy. That's Zodiarch. Whereas the darkness that the first calls it is what they would call our astral. So that's like there's an elemental phenomenon and a primordial phenomenon. The reason this is important is because calamities must be elemental. So you can't have a light calamity. It's not the right energy spectrum for the lore around that. And I know I'm rambling, but like this, for me, it was an incredible cutscene because they were able to weave all of this together and make more sense out of a retcon. And I don't think a lot of people understand why it was necessary or what it means.
Honestly, that cutscene created so many divergent interpretations.
I know.
Honestly,
a lot of
I
people
know
saw
you're
it
giving
differently.
them a lot. I know you're giving them a lot of credit for that cutscene, but man, did it cause no end of controversy.
No
in,
end
like,
of
the lore community.
confusion. No end of confusion.
You would have been so frustrated with me if I was playing the game at the time. I'd have been like, "Do you know what this means? This means." It's going crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm like, Pyro, shut the fuck up. We don't know that yet.
That was just one of those cutscenes. I feel like a little bit of extra exposition, been like, maybe a little more, but hey, who knows? But no, I honestly remember reading that post from you, AnonyMoose, when Croatoan and I were talking about that, and it made me laugh my ass off. And I'm like, no, yeah, he's got it right.
I should have just read that. I should have just dug up that post. What I had done was when Croatoan was asking about it, I pulled up all 4 languages of what Urianger was saying, and then I like rewrote it myself, but not trying to be in character at all.
Interpreted it basically. I think I've seen it. It's very good.
I do. Unfortunately, I have to go. I have to go and pick up some things from the store before my Uwu Prague. My Uwu clear is what's going to happen. That's what. I'm
Go get it.
Yeah,
go get it.
Manifest
Destroy it. But I just really wanted to say thank you so much, everyone, for your time and for coming and hanging out. It's so much fun to get together with you guys.
Yes.
I've hung out with Moose a couple times, obviously with Frosty, and I've been on your show before, Lorelines, and I've seen videos for Synodic Scribe, and I've seen these other names in here. So it's really, really cool to get together and do this. This is not. I just want to say this is not a thing. This isn't a thing in World of Warcraft. The WoW lore creators, it's a very much a different. And I was probably part of it. Don't get me wrong, but very much a different vibe. And so it's really cool that you guys organize this to get different lore creators together, because it's something that just doesn't really happen. People raid together all the time, and that's a lot easier to do than to sit and talk about the story. So I just wanted to say I really enjoyed hearing everyone's opinions and ideas, and I'm definitely coming away with this with a couple different new ideas that I've heard from you guys, and I'm really excited about that. So thank you very, very much for having me. Thank you so much for putting the GoFundMe thing up. I am really touched that you did that, and I made sure to go and tell Ariel, and she said thank you very much for that. So
you're very welcome.
And thanks to anyone who donated to that. Someone did $500 off the rip. There was like a 15, there was 100, and we are so thankful. Honestly, without it, we would be staring down the barrel of really crippling debt, and we wouldn't know what to do. So thanks so much, but I do have to go.
It's fine, Pyromancer. Thank you so much for coming, and you're welcome back anytime. It's always fun, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you next time, and it's good to see you, Moose. It was nice to meet you,
You
other
too.
guys, Synodic and Niniri and Croa. It
Yeah,
was nice talking
likewise.
to you.
Pleasure.
Have a good day.
Yeah, we'll do it again. We'll do it again sometime.
Sounds good. I'll see you guys.
I'll see you.
Bye, chat. Have fun.
Yay. All right.
So, Synodic, Croa, Niniri, and AnonyMoose are all that remain.
The final
It's the
four.
final countdown.
That's really
Oh,
fun.
gosh.
Well, I don't want
I'm
people to leave the chat, and we don't have to close out here. But I just want to remind everyone that we are doing a giveaway. We met our threshold, so someone is getting an ASEAN hoodie. And if you want to get that ASEAN
Hey!
hoodie, we're gonna play marbles on Steam. And it's been a long time. I don't really remember how that works, but we're gonna get it started in a few minutes. So
Nice.
The main thing I remember is don't ask chat for a map, just pick one at random.
yep.
Yes. So, Neela, is there anything that Neela or Fao, is there anything that you would like to bring up to ask our guests?
I already brought up the thing that was on my mind, which was the proto-tempering and the physical transformation. So I think I'm set. I had a lot of fun talking with you guys. This was a really fantastic stream.
I'm also good. I don't have anything for you guys except to thank you for coming and for the opportunity to talk with you all. And it's so much fun. I enjoy the social element. It's my favorite part, and getting to know you guys is just it's kick ass. So thank you.
Thanks for the invite. I really appreciated it.
This
So-
is
Yeah,
awesome.
me too.
I do have one thing that I would like to bring up to discuss, and that is Yoshida's interview from Famitsu. He says that there will be an event which completely changes the story, and 7.0 will be based around that. Each, one by one, I want you to give me your personal take on that. What do you think that will be? AnonyMoose, I'm going to begin with you.
The sky fills with Ragnaroks when the Allagons come back from deep space.
Thank you
I
so much.
will shit
I
myself.
I have no idea at all. Part of it's just like retroactive interference, because I thought for sure that Yoshida was so anxious about people thinking the story was over that he would go straight for like this big, bold new world story, and we'd go across the seas to the new world, and there would be like something huge going on there, and I'm so stuck on it. I can hardly think about anything else, and like everything I think about, my mind twists it into that. So he says like, oh, we're not going to be the warrior of light anymore, and I'm like, oh well, how do you walk away from that reputation? Like, what if other people won't let you put that name down, and all they know is where the warrior of light walks, the status quo changes. There's conflict, and nations are overthrown, and classes are redefined. Like, what if we get to the new world and they're all just like looking at us like, this person coming here is bad news, and we have to now think about what it means to be the warrior of light, but not ever again, and not be able to put that down. And I'm stuck with that, and I don't know what the event will be, because now I'm stuck thinking about all this other stuff I've been thinking about.
So when are you joining the storyboarding team for Square Enix?
As soon as they ask.
He edited the lore book. I mean, come on. Like-
As soon as Koji steps down.
Oh.
Oh, don't say that. Don't
No,
wish
No,
that
there's
out.
too many
no.
funny jokes in the fates.
Yeah, he's
I
got-
need my
he's gotta
dad
keep the
jokes. Come
puns
on.
up.
Are you know what? Let's go with Niniri next.
Oh, so I discussed this at length with Elliot the other day, and it's a bit of a nightmare, honestly, because he specifically said huge but unexpected. And I don't know if this is just because we're all lore nerds, but I struggle to find something that's already been lampshaded that would be unexpected. So I came up with the wild theory that the new world is going to reverse colonize us.
Oh my goodness.
Huh.
That would be unexpected, yeah.
Yeah. We get like a Mamuljaf armada coming up on our shores.
Just give me Pirates of the Caribbean, like women's and pirates.
Pirates
Back
of the
in
Rotano or
action.
something.
I want
Yeah.
Mammal Jaw Pirates now. I want that.
Johnny Depp is a cameo.
Oh no.
Mamuja are critically underused in the story since ARR.
Mm.
Hmm.
I always find the fact that there's a few of them in the Crystal Tower really interesting. So the Alligans probably went to the New World.
Huh. I hadn't really thought about that, but you're right. The ads in that dragon fight.
It's
Yeah,
also a
and they're
curious
called like
thought
Thor.
because of brain is failing me. The bird people. Why is my brain failing this?
Oh, the Ixal?
The Ixal, thank you. Yeah, so I mean those are genetically engineered.
Right.
Synodic. Let's hear it.
Well, something that would change the story forever is actually unclouding Nilsabard for once.
Hey.
I will never let
He
that
had
go.
to say it.
But in all seriousness, honestly, I was asked about this by some of the fans of my channel, and all I could think of is, you'd better not be retconning something and making all of my videos irrelevant.
I feel that. I feel that fear.
Time to
No,
throw these in
yeah,
the trash.
exactly. That was my first thought. I'm like, you better not. Don't you do it. I've done more than 100 lore videos. Don't you do it. But no, in all seriousness, I am excited because if it isn't some silly retcon, this most definitely will be something that not only could change how we see the world or explore it, but may very well also inadvertently influence the gameplay as well. Because when I look at the lore, I look at how does it interact with the gameplay? How does the gameplay interact with the lore? Because the two quite often are like held separately, but I'm of the mind that you can have both of them homogenized and working together to create a fun, unique player-driven experience. So to me, I'm very much excited to see what new aspects they might have come up with that changes everything for us, but in what ways? That's just my take.
Croatoan, you're up.
So, taking into consideration that the story that is behind the 6.x series is centered around the void, I had the passive thought, random thought whenever my brain idles when I should be doing something else. Uh, and I was thinking, we already have had the attempt of the Allegan Empire of bringing the void over to the source through the cloud of darkness, right? The cloud of darkness was going to come to the source and consume all things, right? And I was wondering, what if something happened in our attempts to assist the 13th where the rift opens too big, or we didn't really take into consideration just how bad it was over there, and the darkness starts to seep over to the source, and then there's like more void invasions, or parts of the source start to crumble into the void, like there's a rift just uncontrollably starts opening up and consuming things. And I was just like it was a passive thought. I don't have really any basis of that aside from the Alligans already tried to do that because they made a covenant to do so. And what if our entrance into this world that was meant to be shut off forever is the start of that, and then slowly but surely things start changing because we've introduced the void into our world now, like opening the doors and getting people into it and things like that.
This actually strikes me a bit, Croa, because I was thinking about, I don't know, kind of whispers of this, and the fact that there are natural void tears in the world, it's interesting when you take into account that this is a shard and it's trying to get back to the source if all things were equal. And it's like, it's digging holes into our world. What's going on?
They mentioned this. It's such a weird comment, and I still kind of like I unpacked it as best I could, but Ciela says something about how the shard of immense darkness needed a perfect balance of of immense lights. Like there was some, like the first corresponded to the 13th, and that's why there was so much light on the first. And she it was like a one sentence thing she just says offhandedly, where it was like, oh, they balance each other, they complement each other, and so because one was so bad, the other became so bad. And I'm just like, is that gonna be like elaborated a little bit more? Like, can we learn? Like, can you explain that just a tad bit more? Because that was just kind of okay. Wait, are they connected? Is there, what's going on with that? Are the other shards connected in similar ways? Like I think she used the word mirror. Pretty sure she said something like that. So I'm like,
something like that, yeah.
I'm wondering if that's how, like, are all the shards mirrors of each other. One connects to the other, and then it's like this weird little connect thing that all ties back to the source. And when we mess with this internal structure, it just causes this really bad ethereal reaction. Or who knows? But that's one thing I've been wondering. It's like, if we poke at the void, will it poke back? Is it going to be like, oh hey, all this darkness just kind of vibing here? It's going to start attacking us. So, but yeah, and chat says absorbing the remaining shards. That could be a thing too. So yeah, something like that. That's what I think the void is going to cause problems.
Do you think that lunar tier? Stop it. The near side of me is screaming, and you'll probably see so in our Discord. Anyways, yes, Lunatic Pandora. That was another theory I had last year. God, that just derailed me. God damn it. Sorry, I love Nier.
No, Nier's a good game.
So, do you think that the girl that we saw in the void, she will be kind of our go-between between the void and the source? Will she join us when our work is done on the 13th? Because we saw her as a trust in the scene with Scarmiglione.
New character.
Yeah, we've retired the old gen of the Scions, right? Not fully, but they're off doing their own things now.
Yeah, they're unofficially still together, but nobody's supposed to know that.
Ferdiad and something else. Yes, there is Ferdiad in that cutscene.
It's for sure Ferdiad,
Yes,
and I'm wondering if this is like the full body version of him, because
He put on a mustache. His name is Smurdiad.
Smurdiad. Well, the concept is that when they die, they go back to the 13th. What are they like there? That's the question. Are they diminished on the source?
Yeah. So their strength depends on the vessel that they inhabit. We know that from Skathak. The reason that she looks like that is because the Marquis put her in a young girl so that she would be weaker.
Another question: when Diabolos Hollow ate Skathak, did she go back to the 13th after all, or did she get eaten?
I kind of think she got eaten.
Yeah, she probably got absorbed. I think she got absorbed.
She got absorbed into Diablos, yeah.
Based on the dialogue in the trailer, I think you're actually hitting on something that's going to be a plot point. Like, I could be wrong, but in the trailer, they're talking about how there is no death in the void, and that's like overlapped with a scene of one void scent consuming another. So the fact that we're seeing these void scent that we've seen in the past who have kind of a higher level of intelligence, a higher level of communication, more power, the fact that we're seeing those right alongside that line in this concept leads me to believe that we're going to see something of that hierarchy in the void where they consume one another to become stronger.
No, yeah, I mean, since we know that the Aether of the 13th is stagnant and essentially starving them, and so the higher rung voids can cannibalize the littler ones just to satiate that hunger for Aether, and the little ones sneak onto the source to satisfy their hunger, and of course it's that vicious cycle. So definitely curious to see like how that expands on what we know about the 13th's disturbed Aether, their hierarchy, and all that good stuff.
Fal, why don't you go ahead and do your thing?
Sure. All right, so we'll transition over to the other scene really quick. And for anyone who's interested in the giveaway, this is designed and sold by Coberon's wife, IsomoArt. It has sizing, everything is fine. So this is the sweatshirt, if you're interested. Looks like this. It's got that turtleneck, which is, I think it's a Pandemonium dig. Will keep you warm.
And look very fashionable.
Yep, and then I wanted to share our guests' links really quick. So if you want to find AnonyMoose, he is primarily on Twitter, and his handle is AnonyMoose_XIV. And for Eorzean Archives, they do have a YouTube channel, and you should absolutely check out their website because it's incredible. It's really good. I mean that. It's awesome. So,
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. For the Essalim Collate, we've got a Twitter link, Twitch streams, YouTube videos. If you want to talk about these at all, Croa, you're welcome to.
Yeah. So I started on Twitch, and that's usually where I go live. I do live broadcasts, playing Final Fantasy or talking about other lore. Currently obsessed with the Return of Heroescape. If anyone knows that game, they're bringing that back. So I've kind of just been derailed pretty badly. but I do cover a lot of lore topics on Twitch, and then YouTube's kind of where I drop the archives of that kind of footage or any short videos I do for lore. And then yeah, you can always message me on Twitter if you have a lore question or anything like that, or if you want to see when I go live.
Okay, Stout has left already, but Stout does really great lore videos. Go check him out on YouTube. It's easy to find most of us, it seems. Just put in the name and you're gonna get it. I watched, I think the most recent. It's not the most recent video he did, but I watched recently the Moogle video, it was funny to hear again. It's a good one. Synodic Scribe, YouTube channel, and Twitter as well. Synodic, did you want to talk about this?
Sure. I've been at this for a little more than a year now, and in that time, I've received no end of love from the Final Fantasy XIV lore community, and it's been an absolute wild ride. I'm steadily approaching 20,000 subs, which feels amazing, and it only encouraged me to increase my usual 2 videos a week upload to 3 videos a week. So if you're looking for a constant injection of lore content, I've definitely got your back in that department.
This guy's a train. He got so much. I don't even know how.
Niri, did you want to talk about your YouTube? I forgot to ask.
Oh, no, I think you did a good job. Yeah, we have a site, which is mostly what I post on. I need to get back on that and re-up my numbers, but content creator burnout. Yeah, we've got the site, and then we've got the YouTube, which Elio mostly does his work on. Excellent work. He's doing some streams as well. Yeah, come stop by if you want. Come hang out.
And Pyro's left, but Pyromancer has a YouTube as well as a Twitch, streams very regularly, and if you find later on that you feel you should donate to the GoFundMe, you're absolutely welcome to, and I know he'd be thankful. But that is it. So with that, I'm going to get this marbles game loaded. If you guys want to keep talking, that's perfect.
Sure.
If you need something to fill the time, I had some thoughts on where we might be headed.
Go ahead.
This isn't anything grounded in logic or lore or anything. This is just when I send my imagination out, where do I see us hitting a singularity event in 7.0 where we can't see past it? The first thing that came to my mind was, what if we get a visitor from another shard somewhere we've never been coming for help, saying something's going wrong, we need to save this planet, or not planet, you know what I mean, this shard of our own planet, this shard of Aetheris.
Right.
After all, like, when Zodiark was destroyed, we go to the first and we find out, yes, his extensions in the shards did dissipate as well. Kind of like how Anima, when we killed Anima, the limbs, the towers also collapsed. So I could see something going wrong with that, especially if there's one that was already tilted a little bit one way or another. I mean, heck, there could still be Ascians working in them. Go ahead.
They mentioned that actually. Your point that you're bringing up. They it was in the where was it? One of the later live letters where they were asking lore questions to Yoshi P. They asked about the other shards of Zodiark, like what happened to them, or I think it was specifically the moons or something, and they say they can't say anything about that yet.
I hadn't caught that. That's interesting.
So you might be on to something.
Yes.
That would be pretty crazy if my haha what if actually went somewhere.
That's the events. That's the
Well, you never know though. Like they actually it's a thing that I really did appreciate about Endwalker, that they maintained this thematic consistency. Anima's core is destroyed, its limbs dissipate. Zodiark's core is destroyed, his limbs dissipate. It makes sense. It's logically consistent. I love it.
Yep. Trying to grab that so I can link it in the Discord.
I have a question.
We have an answer.
Do you remember in Shadowbringers when we forked the timeline. So like over there, the 8th Umbral era happened, and they've got like a whole other 14 dimensions now. Well, however many were like
Huh.
left.
Oh wow. Oh.
AnonyMoose, you already know my stance on time travel.
Ugh.
Yes, punish him with your time travel ideas.
Did anyone kill their end singer?
Oh goodness.
There's I
No.
actually went off on this in a private chat. I see 3 endings. 1, Zodiark stays intact forever, everyone's fine forever, but there's no more rejoinings because the Assassins are gone. 2, the Assassins are not gone, there's more rejoinings. God knows how that ends out. And 3, eventually Zodiark runs out of steam, the final days come back, and there's no Warrior of Light, so rip.
We should make Ishikawa tell us which one happened.
Right.
You know what? That's a really good idea. This would be a very good Q&A question.
Yeah, I'll just go to the Q&A with a giant sign and just try to get to the front. By the way,
I wish I could make Ishikawa tell me things.
no, what angered me the most about that was just like, it's up to your interpretation, and I just about lost it.
Mm-hmm.
That and the whole like that and the whole like, you guys really pay attention to the story, don't you?
It's like, yeah, it's a good story. It's your fault.
She just leans into the mic. Please use your imagination.
No, yeah, honestly, that's the biggest thing about Final Fantasy XIV lore that I think is hilarious. It's gone on record that they don't put as much stock into the lore as people wish they do,
Mm-hmm.
which is a damn shame.
I
Which
think- Yep, go ahead.
Because apparently they do a whole lot, most of their polling from their Japanese audience, which makes sense. They're a Japanese company, but they have such a huge storytelling community over in NA and EU that it's just like, please, hello.
Holding out the begging bowl.
Yeah, it's just anything.
I like it from the angle of you are free to create your own thing, and that they encourage that. I really appreciate that, but I do wish they'd give us more solid stuff and then just say, but it's also fine to make your own thing.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's nothing wrong with laying the groundwork for stuff like that, but when it comes to basic world building, there are huge things they skipped, which I'm just like, you're kidding me, right?
I've got a theory. If we do another one of these live streams and get Mr. Happy on it, and we all do a ritual around the playlists of Ethis Ash's old lore guides for the dungeons, then we can summon the lore team and ask them 3 sacred questions.
Oh my god.
It's a good idea.
You just grab a voice actor that's really, really professional, like Pyromancer, and he takes on the voice of Godbert.
Oh no.
So I've got the game up. Word to the wise, anyone who wants to use this, it does not Twitch stream in windowed mode, only screen capture. I don't know why, we'll figure it out later, but I've got it up now. I'm pretty sure it just grabs it from the viewers. You can see that I'm signed into the Lorelines Twitch account, and so it should just grab who's ever here and go ahead and run the simulation. So if it doesn't work, we'll do it a second time, but let's go ahead and throw down, okay?
It should tap there should be a command in chat.
There's a command to
that people
vote
can.
if you want to vote maps, but we're just going to pick a map.
I believe you have to go into the race before you can
you have to
enter.
go
Is that the
into
case?
Marble. You have
Okay,
to
so
vote.
let's go ahead and
Yes.
hit race. We'll see how this works.
All right, I'm going to hop out of
18,
the
all
chat
right.
now.
Oh,
But
Oh, there it is.
have a nice night, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank
It's
you so
been
much for
brilliant.
coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. It's been great to talk.
Absolutely.
Sure.
all right, everyone, tap, or rather type.
Mm-hmm. Type exclamation play
Yep, play.
to enter the race.
Enter the race, yes.
There we are. I'm seeing them start to appear.
Great.
Excellent.
We'll wait a couple of minutes while everyone gets involved. We've got
Yeah.
125 members and only 1 hoodie, so good luck. We love
There
you
are more
all
hoodies, but
equally.
You'll have to buy them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are very nice hoodies, in fairness.
Yeah. That was
It looks really comfortable.
fantastic.
Good for me, because I hate the fucking cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Spend all winter just shivering.
Pretty much. I very much a spring and summer kind of lore man.
It looks like it stopped telling me who was in. Oh, there it is.
We're at
31.
31.
31. We got 100 more people. Come on. Come get your hoodie.
Yep.
119 now.
If you want a hoodie, type !play to get your vote in. And watch your marble go down the hill.
Yep.
Down the funnel. It's a great one that we've chosen.
Is that the source? What if the
God.
what if we use Dynamis to turn the moon into this?
What if we don't? I like the moon kind of how it is, honestly.
So that's another thing that kind of makes me think, in the Endwalker logo, we have that pizza shape ship.
Pizza ship.
It's totally a Star Destroyer, but don't mind me.
See, there's the moon.
Oh, there's the moon.
There it is.
And we see in the logo that we don't know if that's like the planet or that's a moon, but the core of it's kind of blown out a little bit. So that didn't happen to Aetherius, obviously. And we did travel to Ultima Thule with a bunch of rotted out planets, but I don't know. Something tells me that we're still going to see what happened and why that logo is like that.
Honestly, the fact that when you kill something in Ultima Thule, they drop only Dynamis crystals is a great touch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool reference.
It just goes to show that everything there isn't necessarily...
They're not like alive like we think of alive.
Yeah, they're not alive in the same way we think they are. They are just living memories.
In chat, AC Gear is asking if the logo wasn't just the Ragnarok teleporting to Ultima Thule. No, because the shape is just all wrong. It could have been a spoiler-free attempt at that, but I still think personally that will come into play, whatever it is. That's my personal take. I'm just one person on the internet.
Moon theory? Oh, come on, man.
Oh my god.
All right, so we've given a few minutes now. There's 37 people in the race. Last call. Anyone who wants to win a hoodie should type !play in the chat.
Astian hoodie, guys.
It's really cool, but if not, we'll give it about another minute here, and then we'll just go ahead and go because we've been stable at 36 for a while. There's Waking Thunder. Great.
You don't have to drop any money for it.
It's
just
no money.
!play.
Yep. That's no moon.
That is a moon, though. I like how you said that's no moon, and then it just comes on screen.
It was jealous.
Perfect.
I am too a moon.
Actually, now I'm overthinking the fact that we always see Elidibus hanging out on the moon in earlier, in earlier cutscenes prior to 5.0 and back primarily. And I'd wondered before if it's possible that they use the moon as a warp or travel point to get between the shards, and if so, will we do the same?
I still think that. I
was just thinking that.
Nice.
The moon becomes the focal point to get to all the because I mean Yashtola's still looking. She's still looking on how to teleport back to the first, right?
Yep.
So that's like her main current mission.
Her main furman is over there.
Honestly,
he's a great guy. I think he's a great guy. So they at least need to have stew together at least. But
how good?
Yeah, using the moon as like a foci to get out from shard to shard. I mean, it's got a lot of power, and a lot of creation magic there. So
Indeed.
You just reminded me of like one of my oldest lost theories, and now I'm sad.
Oh no!
Let's hear it.
I was so confident that just like you could like dig into the planet and get into the ethereal sea, and like the mother crystal was in the sea, that we would be like going into the moon, and we would find the rift that Zodiark was locked in, and we'd find the father crystal there, and that would be like the chrysalis in the moon, and that's where they were like going the whole time.
Their secret meeting was in the moon.
Why did we never go back to the chrysalis? Wait a minute. Like
I want to go
Well,
back there.
It is
I
pretty
want to know what
crazy.
that door they put in there is.
Yep.
You can't put a
Friggin'
gigantic f-off door in a
that was-
battle / cutscene place and then be like, oh, we're not going to tell you what it's about.
Believe it
Right.
or not, they explain that in the freaking art book.
No kidding.
Oh my god, really?
Hit us.
Yeah, he says that they like I don't remember who wrote the comment, but they say that they added a door as an artistic motif to show you that this was outside of normal space, that they had to get there somehow. that
Oh,
it
so
was
it's Kingdom
not a
Hearts. Got it.
place. Yeah, it was just
God damn it.
Oh my god.
Don't
Did
make
they-
it more convoluted.
I'm
I think I'll
considering
just
this,
make up cooler headcanons.
I'm considering the chrysalis a plot
No.
hook with nothing attached to it. We have to go back for that someday now. Now I'm-
Amazing.
Please talk so I can just blow off.
It's no problem. It's no problem. I deserve it. Let's go ahead and
Now I
hit
don't
this
have to be
race. Are we good?
sad. I'd be mad.
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
All right, we're gonna roll with 38 people. If this account for some reason wins, it is disqualified. Don't worry. And we're racing.
I don't hate Kingdom Hearts. I hate what they do with story in that game.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, that story sucks, but
I
Here we
have
go.
strong opinions on storytelling, and I will count myself lucky that I never really got into Kingdom Hearts then.
No,
riddled
yeah,
with
you
continuity
don't
errors.
want to get into Kingdom Hearts
Oh,
right
that
now.
would make me sad.
No.
I don't like continuity errors.
no,
The
it's
main-
contradicting itself every other game. It's awful.
The main plot points are in the cell phone game that got discontinued. Like, I mean,
Oh lordy.
yeah, it gets bad.
Oh! We got balls going down the way.
Here they come.
That's
I like this map with all the like space. This is great.
The aesthetics is nice.
Where'd the
yeah.
balls go?
And foul with his
That's not the question you want to hear someone ask.
Lord.
Oh, they're still coming. All right, here we go.
Things your cat says after you take him to the vet.
Oh no,
Nice.
I think the game just crashed.
Oh no.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh no. How rude.
Marbles.
Unreal
Too many
prospect.
marbles in space.
What did you do?
The game crashed. That's depressing.
Oh.
Tragedy.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Let's try this again.
The more I look at that freaking crystal in the background, the more I'm reminded that that dark crystal in that cutscene was the biggest red herring ever.
Yep.
Talk to me about it.
Right.
I've done some speculation on well, if that big crystal of Heidelin's was a reserve of power, well maybe the Asians had a reserve of power and I'm gonna go find it and use it. Actually wrote a story on this idea.
All right, very quickly, you have under a minute. We've changed maps. I'm going to try one more time. Please, exclamation play, all 38 of you, quickly.
Sorry for the hassle, folks. Sometimes
Yeah.
things just happen.
The...
Zental says the biggest red herring so far, and yes, Mrs. Red Hair might indeed be a bigger red herring.
Mhm.
Still not over that one. It's too good.
All right, we got 26. Did it crash again? It did.
No.
Oh, I'm very upset.
We might
Did
be
it-
cursed.
Wow, Jesus.
Well, Cobran with the save. Let's see if he's still around, and we can see if we can find an alternate means of figuring this out.
So we
Yes,
got
I'm
a
sorry,
hat and a lot
everyone.
of names on paper.
Yeah, the marbles is a lot more fun than just like putting a bunch of names into a generator and getting one spit out. But we gotta do what we gotta do, I guess.
Right.
Hello, Cobran.
That's helpful. No. Try it one more time.
Yeah, if you know why it's
I'm already doing an
crashing.
integrity check. It's at 35%. It'll
Good
be done
enough.
very soon.
excellent. Yeah, if you have any extraneous tabs or something you can close, I don't know if it'll help or not.
Oh yeah, I know they don't. Don't worry, I'm not showing the screen on purpose. I didn't want you watching me repair a game in Steam while we're talking.
Sitting there with your hammer, tink, tink, tink.
Yeah.
You thought you called on Byragot, but you actually called on Ralgr, and he nuked it.
Yep. 85%.
I mean, they're both lightning aspected deities. I understand the confusion.
I forgot that that new variant dungeon that's coming out is supposed to have lore drops like Save the Queen did.
I'm really
So,
excited for my deep
Not
dungeon
only that, but
substitute.
it's supposed to have different endings too, like 12 different
yeah,
endings, what I thought.
That's wild to me. I mean, I'm excited for it.
time to grind.
God, we
Time
need
to whoop at other people.
more data about places like Valmain from the Save the Queen story than
right.
the MSQ or SideQuest ever did.
I want to know about Zentina's Grace. Apparently, the whole was it the Verdant Path? Big old group of martial artists training everyone how to fight and stuff. I'm like, how come they never show up?
Right?
That's cool. That's a really cool concept. They need to be talked about more.
Maybe choose a different map.
Choose the one that says this will not make your computer crash. I kid.
Oh my god, Matsu knows my high serif. Oh my god.
Honestly, that's why I always feel bad when someone asks, like, "Oh, when are you going to do a deep dive on, like Viera, Hrothgar, or
All
like
right,
any of
tab exclamation mark to play.
Nope.
Third and final attempt at marbles. Oh, I see. We have
It's raining.
a person in chat named Vash the Stampede. Did any of you see the video on YouTube? They made a Vash the Stampede Trigun scene in the game.
I saw that. It was great.
It's so funny.
It was exceedingly well executed. It was some quality production.
$29 people. We might have lost some people. I would understand that. Last call, exclamation point play. And calling it. Sorry, we did not mean to weed out 8 people. Hopefully it won't crash this time.
Those 8 people made the difference. I'm
Oh,
kidding.
couple more joining. It nuked itself.
No.
Oh.
It does not like your computer. We'll figure out an alternate way of doing this. So let's have, instead of that, why don't I put out a tweet, and anyone that likes the tweet will be entered in the race to win, and we'll figure out some way of entering them in, and we'll announce the winner.
Alternatively, we could probably do this through Discord.
That's true.
If you want to join. Hoodies for all, yeah.
But yeah, and that's true. But yeah, we'll go ahead and I'll put out a tweet. Everyone that likes it, gives it a like or so, will enter you in the drawing, and we'll figure out something to do with it, and we'll announce who won.
Yeah, through Twitter. Sorry again for the hassle.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened, but we'll figure something out. Even if we have to do it on my stream, I don't know. Maybe it'll work on my stream. Who knows?
C'est la vie.
We just want to make sure we get the same people at least. At least those people. Well, anyway, I guess that was an unfortunate occurrence, but thank you all for being here. Do we have any closing thoughts or statements before we go to credits? And thank you all for being here.
I do want to say something. Seriously, I want to always point out that like sometimes it may seem that like lore is a hard topic to talk about. Some people might be afraid to get things wrong and stuff like that. But I really want to just big wide open invitation. Like seriously, if you like this stuff, like talk about it and feel free to theorize and have these conversations because look what happens. You get these really cool social moments where we get to share these thoughts and these stories with everybody, and it's a lot of fun. And I think it's one of my absolute favorite things about Final Fantasy XIV is that we have these conversations. We're able to meet these people who enjoy the story so much and talk about it. So like, yeah, just talk about it. You know, don't be afraid of loving lore because look what happens. You know.
No,
These
I
people
totally
do that.
match that statement because there's a lot of people that are under the impression that you have to love everything about Final Fantasy XIV in
Right.
order to say you like it, which is totally not true. Talk about what you loved about the story. Talk about the things you didn't like about it. Go crazy because the more questions you ask, the more situations like this can occur. Don't be afraid to try something else or give a hot take if you have one. Don't be
Right.
afraid.
I would like to add on to that as well. There's just so much lore in this game. Like I remember my friend telling me about, oh, the naming conventions of Mikote tribes. That is not my specialty. You don't have to know everything. I don't know if it's possible. I'm looking at AnonyMoose. If anyone knows everything, it's him, but it's a lot to know. You don't have to know everything. You just go listen to other people. I've learned so much from our guests today, just sitting here like with my chin in my hands, like, oh, that's so cool. I hadn't realized that. It's a wonderful way to live. Dive into it. Be passionate.
I'm gonna ride on that same sentiment. Like maybe in 2014 you could know it all, but like 6 expansions, no. There's stuff that's been encoded into my brain meats, and there's stuff that's fallen out of my brain meats, and I have to Google it every time. I have to look it up in my library every time. If I get asked about it, I will not remember. And I observe this tendency in fandom that there's like this kind of ego defensiveness, this gatekeeping, this fear of making mistakes. And I really wish we could overcome that and encourage people just talk about stuff that brings you joy and don't be afraid of making mistakes. Like it's not an assault on your character if you make a mistake. It's okay. Like it doesn't invalidate you as a lore liker if you get something wrong. I get stuff wrong all the time. I forget stuff
Right.
all the time. I mean, even like there's a whole section of forum history and Encyclopedia Eorzea history that's centered around the devs forgetting their own story. There's no shame in this. Like if you want to get into it and you want to talk about it, just do it.
Just look at the Echo and the Blessing of Light. They forget their own stuff.
Exactly.
They forget what their own story is sometimes, and we have to suffer through it.
It's a lot of story, so I understand it. And we're all human.
Right.
To err is human, to love lore is divine.
I love it.
That's a good phrase.
All right, well, I guess we'll close out the stream here. Thanks again to all of our guests and all of our viewers. It's been incredible.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you
Don't
all being
worry,
here.
we'll figure out a way for the Evil East stream.
Mhm.
That'll include me, probably Foul, probably Meowth too.
Nice.
All right, so I
It's
guess we'll go to
cool.
close then. Thank you
Yeah,
all.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank
Come
you.
back anytime. I
Honor.
really hope we can do this again, guys.
No, yeah, let me know if
Honored-
you ever
honored
do
to
that
even be
tactics
asked.
and Troll Talk.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
All right, guys.
And thanks so much, viewers. It would be a little less interesting without you guys' input.
Absolutely. All right. Closing out. See you next time.